Chapter 22:12. Of the 5 spots, who should I choose? Naturally, the first ones that came to Xiao Chen's mind were Saber Demon Wu Meng, Spear Sovereign Mou Yun Fei, who came from the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor with him, and Nangong Feng, who came from Desolate City. In the past 2 years, Xiao Chen had occasionally contacted these people. However, as he had just joined the Heavenly Alliance, he had many missions, so he did not have a proper gathering. The task was arduous. In other words, he was as tired as a dog. Take Xiao Chen as an example. He had practically never rested. Often, he would only rest for 1 or 2 days before missions came again. This was especially so for the first year. One did not even have a choice. One had to obediently complete whatever mission one was given. There was no choice. The Heavenly Alliance was an extremely snobbish organization. It was fair as well. Every Heavenly Alliance member cultivated in the faux god world for 10 years. This was the greatest resource that the Heavenly Alliance provided. The pressure on the members was just a form of extortion. If these people were given another chance, they would still choose to join the Heavenly Alliance. There were simply too many benefits to not entering the faux god world. Furthermore, the Heavenly Alliance's strict hierarchy gave the members something to look forward to, so they could endure it. If Xiao Chen really said that he could bring them away from the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters and allow them to continue enjoying the Heavenly Alliance's resources, it would be a good thing. As long as everything went smoothly, it should not be a problem to gather a few people. Xiao Chen went to look for Yun Fei first. The Heavenly Alliance members lived at the foot of the Divine Mountain, not far from each other. In less than 15 minutes, Xiao Chen arrived at Yun Fei's residence. He was so close that Xiao Chen felt somewhat startled. Despite being so close, the few had only seen each other a handful of times in the past 2 years. In the end, the Heavenly Alliance's system was somewhat unreasonable and too repressive. Yun Fei just happened to be returning from his mission. When he saw Xiao Chen, he felt pleasantly surprised. Xiao Chen, it has been a long time. Why are you here? Yun Fei felt rather surprised. After leaving the faux god world, the few had only met a few times. Furthermore, Yun Fei had always been the one looking for Xiao Chen. One does not come to a temple without a cause. I came for a reason as well. Xiao Chen took out his Heavenly Alliance medallion. 5 plum blossoms lit up in the snowy scene for 5,000 kilometers on the back. Damn! Bai Yun Fei jumped up in surprise. Holding the token in his hand, he rubbed it over and over again. It took him a while to confirm that it was real. Not long ago, Wu Meng lit up 3 plum blossoms. Nangong Feng and I felt that it was already very amazing. Unexpectedly, you actually lit up 5. I only heard that you seem to have completed a very, very high-level mission. Is it related to this? Yun Fei could not be blamed for being shocked. It was too difficult to raise one's cultivation in the Heavenly Alliance. The merit points awarded for completing a mission would be deducted once they were exchanged for resources. This was a very troublesome matter. Under such circumstances, it was very difficult to save merit points. When Xiao Chen suddenly told him that he was already a 5-petal plum blossom cultivator, it was easy to imagine how shocked he was. Yes, but I can't reveal the details of the mission. Xiao Chen nodded his head in agreement with Yun Fei's conjecture. If it had been according to the original reward, Xiao Chen would have asked Hua Tianyang to have him become a 6-petal member. However, Mu Zifeng had obtained a reward for Xiao Chen, allowing him to oversee a region. In reality, this reward was even better than being a 6-petal member. Congratulations! Nominally, you are already 1 rank higher than Master Peach Blossom, Bai Yun Fei said with a smile. The Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor had left with only 4 petals. Now, Xiao Chen was indeed 1 rank higher than the other party. Many thanks. However, this is not the important matter. I'll talk about it later. I already got someone to inform Wu Meng and Nangong Feng to come over. I'll explain the details then. Considering that there would be too many eyes in his residence, Xiao Chen did not invite anyone to his residence. Instead, he chose Bai Yun Fei's residence. Although this would be exposed sooner or later, he would do his best to hide something. How mysterious! However, we have not met for a long time. It would be good to chat more. Bai Yunfei smiled and started chatting with Xiao Chen, waiting for the others to arrive. Time passed. Wu Meng, Nangong Feng, and the others rushed over one after another. When they learned that Xiao Chen had advanced to a 5-petal member, they were incredibly shocked and repeatedly congratulated him. Xiao Chen, everyone is already here. Can you speak about the important matter now? Bai Yunfei asked with some anticipation. Xiao Chen looked around. Bai Yunfei, Wu Meng, Nangong Feng, and Mo Yu were all friends that he had gone through life and death with. While these people did not possess horrifying strength, they were definitely trustworthy. They were all 1 in 10,000 geniuses with unlimited potential. If they could follow Xiao Chen to the Yanwu dynasty, they would definitely be of help. Due to the importance of this matter, I have to wait for everyone to arrive before speaking. Lord Mu promoted me to a rank 6 envoy inspector. If there are no surprises, the appointment certificates will be issued in 7 days. I have 5 slots, so you can come with me. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, Wu Meng and the other 3 revealed stunned expressions. Nangong Feng put down his teacup and said, Xiao Chen, I'm sure I heard right. You became an envoy inspector, and you are a rank 6-1 at that? This startled the others to their senses. Like Nangong Feng, they looked at Xiao Chen, wondering if he was lying to us. A rank 6 envoy inspector. These were 5 simple words. However, everyone in the Heavenly Alliance knew how much weight these words carried. Becoming a feudal official, ruling over a region, achieving meteoric success, these words were not enough to describe Xiao Chen. This practically meant that Xiao Chen could be said to be a powerhouse of the Heavenly Alliance. Xiao Chen nodded slowly and smiled. Do you think that I'm purposely joking around? The others calmed down and looked at Xiao Chen with complicated expressions. If Xiao Chen had advanced to a 5-petal member, they would have been happy to congratulate him from the bottom of their hearts. However, when they suddenly learned that Xiao Chen had become a rank 6 envoy inspector, they found it unbelievable. In comparison, the difference between their statuses and Xiao Chen's was immense. After a long time, Wu Meng sighed softly. Back then, on the Faux God World's God-conferring platform, Xiao Chen, you said with great pride that only Heavenly Alliance disciples could ascend to the top. I knew that such a day would come. However, I did not expect it to come so soon. Nangong Feng and the other 2 sighed in silence. The past events in the Faux God world were still vivid in their minds. Back then, Xiao Chen wrapped himself in a bedsheet and rode a strong wind to charge into paradise. Under everyone's mocking gazes, he fought alone and coincidentally obtained the 100,000-year requirement. Then, he took the lead and climbed the heaven-bridging peak. Xiao Chen occupied the God-conferring platform alone and fought against the outstanding talents of 4 super factions. That lofty aspiration and boldness had left an indelible impression in the others' hearts. In hindsight, Xiao Chen had already shown the grace of a powerful overlord in the Faux God world. Now, everything in the Heavenly Alliance happened naturally. If they had been the ones to ascend to the top back then, Mu Zifeng would have done the same. I'm fine with it. As long as Xiao Chen says the word, I will go with you immediately. I have missions every day. I've long since grown tired of them. I've had enough of this life. Yun Fei was the first to agree to Xiao Chen's request. During the early stages of the Heavenly Alliance, the 2-petal period was the most difficult. With so many missions, one would not only be physically and mentally fatigued, but one would not even have time to cultivate. Yun Fei was more than happy to have a chance to break away from this period of time. Furthermore, the one who said this was Xiao Chen. In that case, he had no more worries. I'm fine with it. Nangong Feng and Mo Yu agreed one after another. Of the 4, only the 3-petal Wu Meng had not spoken yet. Without a doubt, Wu Meng was the strongest of the 4. Now, he had just advanced to a 3-petal Wu Meng. After enduring the most difficult period, he might have a chance to become an envoy inspector like Xiao Chen in the future. Facing everyone's fervent gazes, Wu Meng smiled and said, My brothers are all going. There is no point in me staying behind alone. But this time, we will do something big. Xiao Chen, I'll follow you. The 4 laughed at the same time. A hot-bloodedness burned in their hearts. Many thanks to everyone for thinking highly of me, Xiao Chen. As long as I am around, I will not mistreat everyone. Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart, revealing a sincere smile on his face. No matter how strong he was alone, it was impossible for him to oversee a region without any trouble. Furthermore, overseeing a region meant that he was an overlord and a powerhouse. Given his status, it was impossible for him to handle everything. He had to have a reliable helper. Nangong Feng Yunfei and Mou, come with me. You can automatically advance to a 3-petal Wu Meng. As for Brother Wu, it will be somewhat difficult. Before reaching a 3-petal Wu Meng, one could not leave the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. However, Xiao Chen had this special right now. The people he chose could automatically advance to a 3-petal Wu Meng. Wu Meng already lit up 3 petals, so he could not help Xiao Chen light up another. Wu Meng smiled casually and said, "It's fine. I don't care about these minor matters. In that case, everyone should make some preparations in the next few days. Before we leave, we should use this opportunity to exchange for all the resources we can in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. All right, we will take our leave first." With the brothers working together, Xiao Chen successfully gathered 4 people. There was still 1 spot left, but he did not really want to recruit cultivators. It would be better to recruit blacksmiths, alchemists, or people who knew how to do business. Xiao Chen wondered if he could borrow someone from Master Ku Yun. Chapter 22:13. Master Ku Yun was one of the Heavenly Alliance's 7 core doyens. At the same time, he was the Heavenly Alliance's strongest blacksmith. Ordinary members, even if they were at the level of a 5-petal plum blossom, might not be able to meet them. Mu Zifeng had recommended Xiao Chen. Furthermore, Xiao Chen had met Master Ku Yun once before. It should not be a problem for him to meet this Heavenly Alliance powerhouse. Even so, Xiao Chen only met Master Ku Yun 2 days later. The meeting took place in the blacksmith workshop of the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. There were many weapon cauldrons in the blacksmith workshop. These cauldrons were more than 30 kilometers tall, looking like mountain ranges standing proudly. Astral flames burned fiercely in the cauldrons. More than 100,000 apprentices worked in these weapon cauldrons. Many Grandmaster-level martial sages presided over them, making them incredibly busy. Someone led Xiao Chen through the cauldrons. Then he met Master Ku Yun on a tall mountain that overlooked the entire blacksmith workshop. Stars flickered at the summit of the tall mountain. The vast starry heavens seemed within reach. "Little friend Xiao Chen, we meet again." Master Ku Yun revealed a smile on his face when he saw Xiao Chen, showing a very amiable attitude. Master Ku Yun did not have the unfathomable and mysterious aura that many major characters purposely created. In reality, after one surpassed great perfection Sovereign Emperor, one could return to one's natural state, appearing no different from ordinary people. However, those in power often did not want others to figure them out, purposely giving others an unfathomable and unfathomable pressure. Master Ku Yun had escorted Xiao Chen and Lin Feng on the mission to the abyssal underworld. Hence, he had a good impression of the two. Master Ku Yun, this junior has something to trouble senior with. Xiao Chen rather liked interacting with such people. His attitude was very humble and respectful. Master Ku Yun said after some thought, "Mu Zifeng already told me about it. After thinking about it, I'll personally help you forge your alloy battle armor. If you have any special requests, you can discuss them with me now. I'll make the necessary preparations." Xiao Chen rejoiced when he heard that. He immediately stood up and performed a cupped fist salute. "Many thanks, Master Ku Yun. I am truly overwhelmed by the favor." This was simply unexpected. Who was Master Ku Yun? He was a grandmaster who could forge superior-grade soul tools. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was the strongest blacksmith in the world. Xiao Chen was shocked that the other party was willing to let go of what he was doing and help him with such a small matter. "You're welcome. You specialize in saber arts and the Thunder Great Tao, with the Ice Great Tao complementing it. These are all things that I know. When I reforge it, I will take them into consideration. What do you think?" Ku Yun smiled. He was rather pragmatic and did not bother with pleasantries. After a brief pondering, Xiao Chen asked, "What does Senior think I should choose? I only have a superficial understanding of the art of artifact refinement, so I don't dare to speak before Senior Ku Yun." Master Ku Yun did not stand on ceremony. He said directly, "In my opinion, you should focus on amplifying and strengthening your Thunder Dao. Now that your Thunder Dao domain has reached the 4th layer, you might as well strengthen it to the limit. My idea is to infuse an ancient Thunder Dragon's reverse scale, 1,000 tons of Thunder Dragon true blood, a Thunder Dragon spine, and a strand of great desolate Aeon Dragon soul into the Alloy Dragon armor. It happens to be compatible with your bloodline. At that time, the Alloy Dragon armor will be like your flesh and blood, and you will be able to use it as you wish." This stunned Xiao Chen for a moment, somewhat unable to react to Master Ku Yun's suggestion. To Xiao Chen, this sounded like something out of a fantasy story. However, the other party spoke of it very naturally, as if it was nothing much. After a while, Xiao Chen startled awake. He thought to himself, "How stupid I am. Who is the other party?" Although he is not the strongest blacksmith in the martial epic, no one would dare to say anything if he is one of them. Xiao Chen nearly got fooled by the other party's amiable attitude. Ku Yun did not have a strong air, but that did not mean that he was not strong. Since Ku Yun said that he would personally help Xiao Chen reforge the Alloy Dragon armor, how could he just casually reply? Otherwise, his reputation would be tarnished. Take Mu Zifeng for example. Xiao Chen was clearly a 5-petal plum blossom, but Ku Yun put him in charge of a rank 6 conferred land. "What's wrong? You feel that something is wrong?" Master Ku Yun frowned slightly, thinking that Xiao Chen was still somewhat dissatisfied. He said seriously, "If this is still not enough, there will be trouble. I'm afraid that I will not be able to complete it within 7 days." Xiao Chen quickly said, there's no need. This is very good. In that case, I'll leave the Alloy Dragon armor to Senior. This is a great opportunity." Fearing that something might go wrong, Xiao Chen removed the black gloves on his hands and handed them over. Master Ku Yun put away the gloves and said, "I'll get someone to deliver it to you 4 days later. With the Alloy Dragon armor I reforged for you, you will be more confident when you arrive in the Yenwu dynasty." It turned out that Senior Ku Yun knew that Xiao Chen would have to oversee a region and feared that Xiao Chen would not be able to handle the situation, so he personally took action. Such good intentions warmed Xiao Chen's heart, making him feel even more respect for this senior. "I still have a dynasty's sacred tool. I would like Senior to take a look and see if you can restore it." As Xiao Chen spoke, he took out the 8th Prince Li Yun's Scarlet Moon. This should be a secret treasure that could reach the might of a peak medial grade soul tool at a crucial moment. A demonic Dao sacred tool. I have a disciple who is good at restoring it. I'll get a servant to bring you over later. Master Ku Yun recognized the Scarlet Moon's origins with just one look. He did not say anything more, appearing very happy. The repeated requests made Xiao Chen feel somewhat embarrassed. Originally, he wanted to borrow someone from Master Ku Yun. In that case, there is nothing else. Master Ku Yun did not rush. He smiled and said, "Little friend, how do you feel about overseeing a region before the age of 100, becoming a rank 6 envoy inspector? It is rather surprising. However, it suits my intentions. I keep feeling somewhat pressured staying in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters." Xiao Chen spoke honestly, not holding back at all. Master Ku Yun nodded. In the world, be it sects, noble clans, empires, or dynasties, they are all organizations that benefit one another. However, noble clans are connected by bloodlines and have accumulations. Sects have seniors to guide them, and their inheritances are everlasting. All of these can give people a sense of belonging. However, the Heavenly Alliance is a purely profit-driven organization. Everyone comes together for their own interests, believing in eternal benefits. Given your character, it is not strange for you to feel pressured. Mu Zifeng is rather generous. The two chatted for a while. Although there was a difference in their statuses and ages, they got along quite well. In the end, it was because Master Ku Yun did not care about authority. Master Ku Yun relied on his own strength to become a core doyen. No matter who became the alliance chief, he would be an irreplaceable existence. With extraordinary strength, one could naturally transcend others. Many of Master Ku Yun's insights were refreshing to Xiaoqin. Let's leave it at that, then. I have to make some preparations for you. Master Ku Yun sent off the guest with tea. Then Xiaoqin performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. Then, a servant led the way to the forging workshop, where Ku Yun's disciple, who was good at restoring secret treasures, was. Soon, Xiaoqin arrived at a vast forging pavilion. 3 cauldrons stood there, and 10,000 people moved about in an orderly fashion. Above the pavilion, someone was leaning against the railing. With a wave of his hand, he gave out a series of orders. Xiaoqin thought, Master Ku Yun's disciple is rather capable. He can command 10,000 people so easily. With Master Ku Yun's servant leading the way, Xiaoqin did not encounter any obstructions. Soon he arrived at the pavilion. Please wait a moment. The servant bowed slightly and stepped forward. Then he passed through the many ancient screens and went to report. Miss Mo, an administrator from the Heavenly Alliance, is here on Master's orders to meet you. Xiaoqian's spiritual sense was sharp. He heard the servant's words and felt slightly startled. Miss Mo? This reminded Xiaoqin of a person, which distracted him. Just as he felt uncertain, a familiar voice rang out. I wonder which administrator it is? To think that he could startle Master. Sorry for not going out to welcome him. Clatter, clatter. The screens with ancient paintings of mountains and rivers parted, looking like mountains and rivers breaking apart layer by layer. A beautiful figure approached from afar, looking like she was descending from the horizon, crossing the mountains and rivers to meet Xiaoqin. When the beautiful figure appeared, Xiaoqin could see her appearance clearly. Every frown and smile of her magnificence showed. Who else could it be but the Dragon's Gate's Imoqin? Chapter 22:14. The person who came was indeed Imoqin, the Dragon's Gate's Imoqin. That stubborn top beauty of the Cloud Sea domain, who dared to ruin her beauty. One's life has no roots, drifting like dust. There are no regrets in the green hills. Fate is sought in the clear water. The mountains and rivers will eventually meet again. The two stared at each other for a long time, staring at each other in a daze. Countless emotions turned into silk, lingering in their hearts. The servant leading the way sensed that the two seemed to know each other, so he took his leave and left. Now, only Xiaoqin and Imoqin remained in the pavilion. They seemed to have many things to say, but they did not know where to start. After a while, Imoqin blushed slightly. She smiled faintly and said, Big brother Xiao, are you just going to keep looking at me like this? No matter how much you look at me, you will not be able to tell anything from my face. Xiaoqin startled awake and smiled faintly. Then, he said softly, Speaking of flowers, I am indeed not as pretty as you. It has been a long time. Big brother Xiao, you really know how to joke. When Imoqin saw Xiaoqin, she felt very moved. For the sake of seeing Xiaoqin, she had put in so much anticipation, perseverance, and hard work. However, when she truly saw Xiaoqin, she discovered that she did not feel as excited or impulsive as she imagined. There was only a trace of gentleness and warmth in her heart. With just one look, she knew that her big brother Xiao was still the big brother Xiao from back then. His visible face and invisible heart had not changed. Imoqin had long since passed the age of a young girl in love. At this moment, she suddenly realized that Xiaoqin had always been around and had never gone far. Otherwise, why did she not feel any distance or unfamiliarity after not seeing him for so many years? It was still the same familiar feeling from back then, as natural as before. It had never changed. This was because he had always been around, in her heart, in her dreams, in the best memories of her life. Xiaoqin had never possessed him, but he had always been around. Time passed mercilessly, but it did not change her big brother Xiao much. Now, when Imoqin saw Xiaoqin, it was like returning to a dream, returning to the best memories of the past. However, she could clearly feel time flowing at her fingertips. This strange and mystical feeling was indescribable. Do you have wine? I already finished my 1,000-year flame. Seeing the faint smile on Imoqin's pretty face and Imoqin's gaze on him, Xiaoqin said awkwardly, Don't worry. Emo Chen meekly took it out and placed it before Xiao Chen's table. The gentleness and smile on her face did not diminish as she poured wine for Xiao Chen. He gently shook it until the golden crow flew around. Xiao Chen gulped it down in one gulp. His blood immediately began to burn as if it was on fire. Xiao Chen had not tasted the 1,000-year flame in a long time. This cup was truly carefree. Good wine, you should drink it too. After a few cups, Xiao Chen sighed softly. A few years ago, I saw the 1,000-year flame that the heavenly fragrance's holy daughter brought to Peach Blossom City. Then, I knew that you had come to the Great Thousand Realms. Unexpectedly, I met you in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters one day. Emo Chen put down her wine cup and replied, "It's a long story. Actually, I only became Master Ku Yun's disciple because of the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter." Xiao Chen said with some surprise. There was actually such a reason? He immediately listened attentively. After she obtained my 1,000-year flame by chance, she used the Heavenly Fragrance's influence to send someone to look for me. Emo Chen paused for a moment before continuing. In the end, she really found me. At that time, I was very happy, so I followed the Heavenly Fragrance's people to the Central Great Realm's desolate sea. I thought that, given Big Brother Zhao's ability, if he really came out, he would go to the Central Great Realm sooner or later. Xiao Chen thought to himself, back then, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter did indeed pay a lot of attention to the 1,000-year flame. She even said that, after putting in a lot of effort, she still could not find the brewer. Unexpectedly, she really managed to find the brewer. After that, I stayed in the Heavenly Fragrance and helped her manage the Heavenly Fragrance winery. During this time, I also wanted to ask about Big Brother Xiao. However, although the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter was polite, I kept feeling that there was some distance between us. I did not dare to ask about it and could only hide it in my heart. Xiao Chen nodded. He had seen the Heavenly Fragrance's holy daughter before. She was always shrouded in a layer of fog, unfathomable and unfathomable. Saying that there was some distance between the holy daughter and the Heavenly Fragrance's holy lord was a nice thing to say. To put it bluntly, it was like she was high and aloof, looking down on everyone. Master and the Heavenly Fragrance's holy lord are acquainted with each other and often go there to drink. Once, she noticed me and said that I have talent for refining and that brewing wine is a waste of my talents. She insisted on taking me in as a disciple. Before I left, the Heavenly Fragrance's holy lord said that I was very lucky. At that time, I did not understand. Now, I somewhat understand where I am. Emo Chen spoke tirelessly, giving a short account of her experiences after leaving the Kunlun realm. Don't you know that I'm in the Heavenly Alliance? Xiao Chen asked, finding it strange. He was somewhat famous in the Heavenly Alliance. He should be able to find out after asking around a little. Emo Chen shook her head and replied, I don't know. I have only been in the Heavenly Alliance for a year and have not left the blacksmithing workshop at all. After that, I learned that the Heavenly Alliance is a super faction, so I became even more cautious. Previously, I tried to secretly ask about Big Brother Xiao in the Heavenly Fragrance. However, they all said that Big Brother Xiao vanished after the Peach Blossom Wine Festival, so I could not find out anything about him. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Emo Chen had only been in the Heavenly Alliance for a year. Indeed, there was no way for her to know about him. Xiao Chen recalled that when he first entered the Heavenly Alliance, he could only remain in his residence and did not know that Mo Chen had come to the blacksmithing workshop. As for after the Peach Blossom Wine Festival, most people would think that Xiao Chen vanished. Those people might not even know about the existence of a super faction. How could Emo Chen find out anything about him? This made things somewhat difficult for Emo Chen. If not for today's coincidental meeting, who knew when they would meet again after Xiao Chen left the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters? Let's not talk about this for now. How are my old friends in the Heavenly Alliance? Is Big Brother Ying and the others doing well? Xiao Chen had been thinking about his old friends in the Heavenly Alliance. However, he could not return to the Kunlun realm for now, so he could not find out any news about them. Now that Emo Chen was around, he could ask about them. They are doing well. After the demonic calamity, there were many things to do, and the Dragon's Gate rose. The various races and sects temporarily put aside their prejudices and elected the Dragon's Gate as the leader. Big Brother Zhao's dream of the Dragon's Gate's revival is already a reality. 100,000 Dragon's Gate disciples worship the totem that Big Brother Zhao left behind every day. I feel like the totem is slowly gaining life. Also, everyone misses you. Given that, my existence was not erased by the heavenly Tao. Emotion nodded and said, no. As far as I know, everyone still remembers Big Brother Zhao. No one has forgotten. Xiaochen entered deep thought. In the past, the heavenly demons would erase all traces of the people who left in the Kunlun realm. Be it memories or words, they would all disappear like they never existed. However, this did not happen to Xiaochen. This was somewhat strange. Perhaps my traces will be erased, Emochen said with a somewhat sad expression. After all, this was her hometown. It had existed for decades, yet it was mercilessly erased. No one would be able to accept this. Xiaochen said softly, that might not be the case. I feel that the Black Lotus Church might have done something back then, affecting the heavenly Tao that the Kunlun realm borrowed. This matter is not urgent. I will investigate it. In the future, the two of us will return to the Kunlun realm together. Is there a chance? Emochen asked in anticipation as a light flashed in her eyes. Xiaochen thought for a while. With his current strength, it would be somewhat difficult for the Divine Universe Steel to bring him back alone. Bringing two people would be even more difficult. However, the future was hard to say. After the Divine Universe Steel replicated the Blue Dragon Ancient Lands Tao platform, it could clearly sense the totems of the Kunlun realm beyond the sea. This was hope. There will be a chance. Xiaochen stood up and said, let's not talk about this for now. I want to bring you with me to the Yanwu dynasty. The Yanwu dynasty? Yes. Seeing that Emochen felt confused, Xiaochen explained how he oversaw a region and became a rank 6 envoy inspector. Emochen, are you willing to help me again? Just like back then, when you and I re-established the Kunlun realm's Dragon's Gate and slowly rose up, Xiaochen said in a sincere manner. Emochen smiled faintly as she recalled the various things of the past. Back when the Dragon's Gate was re-established, the sect powerhouses of the Four Seas came to attack. Each of them brought a great gift, wanting to destroy the newly established Dragon's Gate. However, Xiaochen did not fluster in the face of danger. Dressed in white robes, he held a saber in one hand as he danced around in the air, catching all the great gifts. There were too many stories between the two. They could not finish talking about them in a few days and nights. Now that they met again in the Great Thousand Realms, Xiaochen invited Emochen to join hands again. Naturally, the answer went without saying. Emochen will always be Big Brother Zhao's best friend. If Big Brother Zhao is willing to let Emochen stay by your side, how can Emochen reject? However, I'm afraid that Master will not be willing for me to leave. An indiscernible gentleness flashed in Emochen's eyes as she spoke gently with a faint smile. Xiaochen smiled and said, it's fine. It's settled. I'll speak to Master Ku Yun. Big Brother Zhao, take a look at the sacred tool you want to repair first. Don't forget about proper business. When Xiaochen heard that, he could not help smiling. When he saw Emochen, he completely forgot about the so-called proper business. Or rather, seeing Emochen was proper business. The sacred tool was nothing. Chapter 22:15. This is a demonic Tao sacred tool. It is heavily damaged. I will need at least 3 days to repair it. Emochen gave her answer after checking the Scarlet Moon. 3 days then. I'll take my leave first and think about how to account to Master Ku Yun. After taking his leave of Emochen, Xiaochen returned to his residence and saw Bao waiting for him. After taking his leave of Emochen, Xiaochen felt somewhat helpless. He did not know how many spies there were among the servants in the residence. Right now, Xiaochen urgently wanted to return to the Blue Dragon's ancient land. However, there were simply too many people here, so he did not dare to act rashly. Xiaochen could only wait. As long as he was not in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters, even if there were spies around, there should not be much risk in using the Divine Universe Steel. Young Master, you're back? Do you have any instructions? Bao Er asked softly, looking as obedient as before. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. Help me prepare a list. I need secret treasures and medicinal pills for nourishing the soul. See how the Heavenly Alliance sells them. Also, help me search for similar cultivation techniques. Sorry for the trouble. Young Master is too polite. Xiao Chen's soul energy soared to 3-vein Sovereign Emperor, making him feel uneasy. He had already decided to stabilize and condense his soul energy for a while. Soon, Bao Er appeared before Xiao Chen with a list. Young Master, I have already done what I asked. The main secret treasures for nourishing soul energy are incense burners. Buddhist incense burners are the best. As for medicinal pills, the Heavenly Alliance's soul accumulating pill should be the best. However, it is very expensive. After listening to Bao Er's explanation, Xiao Chen looked at the list again. Then, he asked softly, how many contribution points do I have? Young Master has 28,000 contribution points that you have not exchanged. Xiao Chen said directly, just exchange them all. Choose the best. As for the soul accumulating pill, I need at least 100. If I do not have enough contribution points, I will use my origin liquid to exchange for them. All right. Bao Er knew that Xiao Chen would be overseeing a region. Before he left, he would definitely use up all his contribution points, so she was not surprised. Don't go yet. Just as Bao was about to leave, Xiao Chen called out to her. She turned around and asked, Young Master, do you have any other instructions? Xiao Chen looked straight at the other party and said calmly, I do not have any other instructions. I just want to ask, will you come with me to the Yanwu dynasty this time? This servant is Young Master's personal maid, so I naturally have to go with you. If Young Master is not satisfied with Bao, you can ask Lord Mu to replace her. Bao Er lowered her head, and her eyes became misty, making her look pitiful. Mister, are you going to give up Bao? Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. There is no point in retreating. Mu Zifeng will definitely find other spies. Xiao Chen could understand why they were doing this, but there was always a spy following them, so he was more or less worried. I'm fine. You can go now. Seeing Bao withdraw, Xiao Chen thought to himself, should I tell Mu Zifeng about this? On second thought, it seemed like it was useless to say anything. As a rank 6 inspector, he was overseeing a region. Xiao Chen was a rank 6 envoy inspector overseeing a region. Without the Heavenly Alliance's spies by his side, even if Mu Zifeng felt assured, the other Heavenly Alliance upper echelon would not. The other envoy inspectors probably had Heavenly Alliance spies by their sides. This was a tacit secret. Never mind. When I leave the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters, I don't have to worry too much if I want to do something. Keeping a spy by my side is good for both sides. 4 days later, Xiao Chen visited the refining workshop again to collect his alloy dragon armor. An ancient Thunder Dragon reverse scale, a Thunder Dragon spine, 5 tons of Thunder Dragon true blood, and a strand of great desolate Aeon Dragon soul. With such a large amount of modifications, Xiao Chen looked forward to seeing how strong his alloy dragon armor would be. I was preparing to get someone to deliver it to you. Unexpectedly, you came personally. When Master Ku Yun saw Xiao Chen, he revealed a smile and handed the alloy gloves over. Try it on. Xiao Chen received the alloy gloves. The pitch-black black-gold gloves revealed half of his fingers when he put them on. Golden talisman scripts formed an ancient divine character on the back of the gloves. Among the stars around the divine character, for lit up. Senior Ku Yun was really generous. To think that he directly upgraded my alloy dragon armor from 2-star to 4-star. Boom. When Xiao Chen put on the 2 gloves, he immediately felt an electric current run through his entire body. Even his divine seal and soul trembled. A bloodline connection and soul merging with each other spread in his heart like a fish in water. The roar of an ancient thunder dragon rang out beside Xiao Chen's ears. A purple thunder dragon image flashed in his eyes. How strong! Before Xiao Chen activated it, he could already feel that the alloy battle armor was already very different from 3 days ago, completely different from before. Master Ku Yun stood upright with a smile. Clearly, he was very satisfied with his work. He said indifferently, "Try it out after activating it." "Very well, senior." With a thought, Xiao Chen activated the alloy battle armor. In an instant, the Azure Dragon's power in the depths of his bloodline ignited like tar, turning into a surging dragon flame burning fiercely. A dragon might burst out of Xiao Chen's body and shook the surroundings. Even the huge refining workshop could feel this dragon might radiating out. A dragon image came out of each of the gloves, flickering with electric light as it wrapped around Xiao Chen's arms before spreading throughout his body. Electric light flickered, and soon, a dragon roar encircled Xiao Chen's body. When the two dragon images merged into one, Xiao Chen's body trembled. When the two dragon images merged, a brand new alloy dragon armor appeared on Xiao Chen's body. The originally silver alloy dragon armor now had many deep purple dragon patterns on it. In the blink of an eye, it looked like two dragon images coiled around the alloy dragon armor. The dragon images had long fangs and 5 claws, looking boundlessly tyrannical. When the bright silver alloy dragon armor paired with the purple dragon patterns, its original heroic aura was swept away, replaced by absolute tyranny. A purple pendant hung on Xiao Chen's forehead. It was like a finishing touch, making the entire alloy dragon armor come to life. Xiao Chen's bloodline surged. The moment the alloy dragon armor appeared, he could clearly feel it. Xiao Chen's entire body, bloodline, and soul were stirred. The dragon blood and dragon soul contained in the alloy dragon armor perfectly merged with his dragon race bloodline. It was simply flawless. There was simply no armor more suitable for Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and clenched. The purple dragon patterns on the alloy dragon armor flickered with electric light. In the next moment, resplendent electric light burst out of his palm. Then Xiao Chen's 4th layer Thunder Dao domain silently erupted. Xiao Chen felt like he was not holding a clump of electric light in his palm but a sea of electric light. With the support of the alloy dragon armor, his 4th layer Thunder Dao domain actually reached the horrifying might of a 5th layer Thunder Dao domain. This, Xiao Chen's shock could not be expressed with words. He found it unbelievable. Too strong, really too strong. Just a single set of battle armor had increased his strength by more than 50%. Master Ku Yun appeared rather calm. He smiled softly and asked, "How is it? Are you satisfied?" "Satisfied. Very satisfied. Senior Ku Yun really gave me a great gift." Xiao Chen praised from the bottom of his heart. Ku Yun's eyes flashed with a trace of gratification. Anyone would feel happy when their work was praised. The pendant on your forehead is the reverse scale of the primordial thunderous dragon, and it's also something that I spent a lot of effort on. Not only can it help you block your opponent's sword chi and weapons, but it also has strong resistance to soul technique attacks and illusions. It can even injure your opponent. If a sovereign emperor's forehead was pierced, it would be relatively dangerous. Even if they did not die, they would be severely injured. Ku Yun's move was truly the finishing touch. His skill had reached the pinnacle. This alloy dragon armor was unique in the entire Heavenly Alliance. Xiao Chen was very satisfied with it. "I basically reforged the entire alloy dragon armor for you. This is just the foundation. If you have enough resources in the future and find more dragon souls and dragon blood, this alloy dragon armor will become even stronger." This old man is not boasting, but he stands alone in the entire Heavenly Alliance. Even in the entire martial epic, few can compare to him. Master Ku Yun said with a trace of pride. It might sound like boasting to others, but it wasn't false to Master Ku Yun. Right now, his time was limited, and he could not properly experience the alloy dragon armor's full power. He would definitely have to carefully study it later. However, no matter how good the armor was, he couldn't forget his purpose for coming here. Xiao Chen reluctantly put the armor back into his alloy dragon gloves and said, "Actually, besides the alloy dragon armor, I have another matter to discuss with you." "I know. You're talking about the sacred artifact of the dynasty, right? Go get it from Imo-chin." She can be considered my favorite student. This small matter won't be a problem for her. At the mention of Emo Chen, Master Ku Yun appeared very satisfied, looking like he wanted to make her his final disciple. When Xiao Chen saw the situation, he could not help complaining in his heart. However, he still braced himself and said, "Senior, I would like to take Emo Chen away temporarily and have her come with me to the Yanwu dynasty." "What did you say?" Right after Xiao Chen spoke, Master Ku Yun's smile immediately vanished. He said seriously, "Say it again. I didn't hear you clearly." Xiao Chen had no choice but to repeat himself. After Master Ku Yun said that, his expression immediately turned uncertain. "Don't even think about it. This old man is compatible with you. Furthermore, I owe Mu Zifeng a favor, so I made an exception to help you. However, you want to take away my favorite disciple with just one sentence? Furthermore, you want to go to a place like the Yanwu dynasty? Just go. I'll pretend I never heard that." Master Ku Yun's attitude surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. Furthermore, there seemed to be more to his words. What did he mean by going to a place like the Yanwu dynasty? Could it be that I can't go to the Yanwu dynasty? Seeing Xiao Chen's somewhat confused expression, Master Ku Yun's expression eased significantly. He sighed and said, "Little friend, this old man will tell you the truth. You should not have chosen to oversee the Yanwu dynasty. I would not let you take Emo Chen away anywhere else, much less the Yanwu dynasty." Xiao Chen calmed down and said, "Let's not talk about the Yanwu dynasty for now. Senior, can you let me finish? I am not a wastrel who covets her beauty. I have known her for more than 20 years, and we both came from the same abandoned land." When Master Ku Yun heard that, his expression immediately changed. He looked at Xiao Chen in shock. "You are the person Emo Chen mentioned? This old man really could not tell that you came from an abandoned land." Chapter 22:16. Master Ku Yun found it hard to believe that Xiao Chen actually came from an abandoned land. It was already very difficult for one to come out of an abandoned land. It was simply incredible that Xiao Chen could reach where he was. Whether Master Ku Yun believed it or not, Xiao Chen did indeed come from an abandoned land. Xiao Chen gave a full account of his experiences in the Kunlun realm and his relationship with Emo Chen. After Master Ku Yun heard everything, he sighed softly. "Previously, Emo Chen mentioned someone who came from the same place as her. I wanted to ask her about it, but she was somewhat cautious and did not say much. Now, I understand that it is you. I have to think about this properly." Master Ku Yun's tone had already softened significantly. Previously, he disagreed with Xiao Chen to think about it properly. Xiao Chen did not insist. After some thought, he said, "Senior's earlier words seem to imply something. Could the Yanwu dynasty be a troublesome place?" Master Ku Yun thought for a while before answering honestly, "Mu Zifeng should have told you not to choose the Yanwu dynasty, right?" Xiao Chen nodded. "Lord Mu did indeed say that. However, after I insisted, he agreed. In that case, I will not say anything more. Since he agreed to let you go, he naturally has his reasons." Since Mu Zifeng already persuaded Xiao Chen, Master Ku Yun did not say anything more. He waved his hand and said, "You may withdraw first. As for Emo Chen's matter, we will speak about it later." After sighing in his heart, Xiao Chen took his leave. As a core doyen, Master Ku Yun held the same status as Mu Zifeng. Even Alliance Chief Hua Tianyang might not be able to change Master Ku Yun's decision. If Master Ku Yun did not want Emo Chen to leave, Xiao Chen would not be able to do anything about it. However, after thinking about it, if the Yanwu dynasty was really a troublesome place, it would not be impossible for Emo Chen to remain in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. When Xiao Chen returned to his residence, Bao Er had already finished exchanging for all the secret treasures and medicinal pills that he needed. There was a silver incense burner with 3 layers of lotus petals, the corresponding heaven-grade perfume, and 100 soul-accumulating pills. Putting aside the silver lotus censer and the heaven-grade incense, the 100 soul-accumulating pills really made Xiao Chen's heart ache. Not only had he used up all of his merit points, but he had also spent the tens of thousands of drops of origin liquid in his possession. So expensive. After putting it away, Xiao Chen sighed softly, feeling a little heartache. Bauer smiled and said, "There's naturally a reason why it's expensive. This soul-accumulating pill was a secret recipe of the Heavenly Alliance. It could not be bought in the outside world and was only supplied to Heavenly Alliance members. Furthermore, the number was limited. Members with less than 5 petals could only receive 5 per month. If not for Lord Mu's care, with young master's ability, you would only be able to exchange for 20 pills at most. As for the effects, young master will know after consuming it." Mu Zifeng's connections in the Heavenly Alliance were really vast. It seemed like everyone had to give him face. As expected of someone who was competing for the position of the next alliance leader. "I'll have to trouble you with this. You can leave first. I want to try out the effects of this accumulating soul pill." "Yes." After Bauer left, Xiao Chen took out a accumulating soul pill. The black medicinal pill's surface was smooth, and it gave off a refreshing fragrance. There was a complicated mark carved on the back of the medicinal pill. After magnifying it several times, one would discover that it was the image of an ancient deity. Sovereign emperor-level medicinal pills were passed down for a long time, coming from ancient alchemy recipes. They might even be from many epochs ago. No one knew who this ancient deity was. However, the deity statue contained the miraculous effect of nourishing the soul. After refining the soul-accumulating pill, the deity statue would automatically form. In fact, the quality of the medicinal pill depended on the lifelike image of the deity statue. After Xiao Chen swallowed one, he first used his divine energy to refine it, waiting for the medicinal energy to activate. After the medicinal energy was activated, the ancient deity image appeared in the vast soul pool. Then, it used a miraculous hand seal to release waves of light to nourish the soul. Under this light, the blue dragon divine seal fell into a deep sleep like a baby, slowly breathing along with the hand seal. Back in the real world, Xiao Chen followed the ancient deity's hand seal and moved his hands, driving out the medicinal energy. Time slowly passed. By the time Xiao Chen opened his eyes, a night had passed without him realizing it. What a miraculous feeling! The soul-accumulating pill truly lives up to its reputation. After consuming just one medicinal pill, Xiao Chen felt his somewhat berserk soul energy withdraw significantly. The soul energy that leaked out from the divine seal, which he could not control, slowly returned to the divine seal. It looked like Bauer did not lie. This soul-accumulating pill was indeed worth its price. If I refine all 100 of them, my soul energy will be purified at least 9 times, cleansing it. At that time, the blue dragon divine seal will undergo a qualitative change. Xiao Chen thought to himself, considering the time, the certificate of appointment from Mu Zifeng should have arrived by now. Xiao Chen did not have to wait for long. Half a day later, Mu Zifeng arrived with the certificate of appointment for a rank 6 envoy inspector overseeing the Yanwu dynasty. "Give me the authority token." After Xiao Chen put away the certificate of appointment, he took out the authority token and handed it to the other party. After Mu Zifeng sent in a mark, Xiao Chen's Heavenly Alliance authority token slowly changed. The scene on the back changed slightly. It still showed 5 eye-catching plum blossoms amid the vast snow. The symbol of the Heavenly Alliance's holy relic, the snow god whip, appeared on the front. Sword hilts appeared on each of the 4 corners of the authority token. It's done. At the crucial moment, you can activate 4 sword images. Each sword image can severely injure a great perfection sovereign emperor. When the 4 sword images overlap, even a foe god would have to retreat. This can protect your life at a life and death moment. Mu Zifeng handed the authority token back to Xiao Chen. Then, he said seriously, as an envoy inspector overseeing a region, you represent the Heavenly Alliance's will. If the Heavenly Alliance's interests in the Yanwu dynasty suffer losses, you will definitely be impeached or even severely punished. At that time, even I will not be able to protect you. Xiao Chen put away his authority token and asked, "Is the Yanwu dynasty very horrifying?" Mu Zifeng replied indifferently, "It is not exactly horrifying. However, the Heavenly Alliance has been unable to expand. It is already very difficult for us to protect our interests. Going to the Yenwu dynasty to be an envoy inspector is destined to be a difficult task. Even if you want to regret it now, I can't help you. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. It seemed like Mu Zifeng had something to say. I'll be leaving first. I will depart tomorrow. Take care. Mu Zifeng smiled faintly. I still think very highly of you. Do your best. It looked like Xiao Chen already knew some information about the Yenwu dynasty. However, he chose this path himself. It would be good to suffer a little. It would be for the best if he could retreat in the face of difficulties. Mu Zifeng knew that the Yenwu dynasty was a dangerous place. He had told Xiao Chen about it at the start, but the other party did not listen. So, Mu Zifeng took advantage of the situation and did not say anything more. Mu Zifeng had his own plans. If Xiao Chen could not expand his influence, he would definitely beg Mu Zifeng again. If Mu Zifeng owed too many favors, he would not be able to control himself. At that time, it would be difficult for him to leave. The martial epoch is where luck gathers. The three dynasties might be much more problematic than I imagined. Xiao Chen was not a fool. He more or less understood Mu Zifeng's intentions. However, he chose this path himself. He had to persevere on it. Staying in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters was not comfortable. One had to pay a price for freedom. Furthermore, Xiao Chen never feared challenges. He had long wanted to go to the three dynasties and meet the true heroes of the Great Thousand Realms. The next day, Xiao Chen, Wu Meng, Nangong Feng, Bao, and the others gathered at the Heavenly Alliance's Dao platform. They prepared to head to Desolate City. Then, they would cross the overflowing sea and head to the Yenwu dynasty's capital. Lin Feng, there's no need to send me off. Let's stop here. On the last day, Lin Feng braved some pressure to send off Xiao Chen. Be careful when you go. I heard that the Heavenly Alliance branch in the Yenwu dynasty has too many interests. Before you, 2 envoy inspectors died already. The waters are too deep. It has already become an unsolved case. Lin Feng hesitated for a long time before sending a voice projection to Xiao Chen about the information he obtained from Swearenji. In reality, Swearenji's original words were harsh. He said that Xiao Chen was seeking death. To think that a mere one-vain sovereign emperor dared to oversee the Yenwu dynasty. Xiao Chen was simply reckless. When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt slightly stunned. Clearly, he had not expected there to be such secrets. To think that 3 envoy inspectors died before Xiao Chen. Even with the might of the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters, it had become an unsolved case. You take care too. The reward that Swearenji obtained for Lin Feng was a superior grade cultivation technique. After that, Lin Feng would have to remain in the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters for a long time. The missions that Lin Feng would face would become more dangerous. After Lin Feng left, Xiao Chen waited for 1 hour. Then, he sighed to himself, it looks like Master Ku Yun is unwilling to let me go. This is good. Just as Xiao Chen prepared to ascend the Dao platform, a voice rang out behind him. Big Brother Xiao. Xiao Chen turned his head and saw Emo Chen rushing over. Her face was slightly red, clearly in a rush. Xiao Chen revealed a faint smile. With Emo Chen by his side, he felt much more at ease. He swore to himself that no matter how dangerous the Yenwu dynasty was, he would protect Emo Chen even if he had to risk his life. When Xiao Chen turned his head back, he saw Master Ku Yun's gaze at the summit of the tall mountain where the refining workshop was located. Master Ku Yun nodded slightly, indicating for Xiao Chen to take care. Then, his figure slowly vanished from Xiao Chen's sight. Chapter 22:17. Emo Chen came in the end. Just as Wu Meng and the others felt curious, Xiao Chen introduced, This is Emo Chen, an old friend from my hometown. She is also Master Ku Yun's proud disciple. She will be coming with us to the Yenwu dynasty. Emo Chen smiled softly and said, Hello, everyone. I am Emo Chen. Please take care of me in the future. Since you are Master Ku Yun's disciple, we will have to look for you to take care of us in the future, Nangong Feng said with a smile. Nangong Feng's eyes lit up when he saw the pretty girl. While they were joking, no one dared to underestimate Master Ku Yun's disciple. Let's go to Desolate City then. After the introductions, the group of 6 ascended the Tao platform of the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. The elders of the 4 Tao platforms made their moves at the same time. Mysterious talisman scripts immediately floated out of the Tao platform. After a while, a Tao door appeared in the center. The group took one last look at the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters before entering in a single file. They did not know when they would reach the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters again. Light flickered. When their vision cleared again, Xiao Chen and the others appeared on a tall mountain. To the north of the tall mountain was the glorious and ancient Desolate City. To the south was the vast, sparkling, overflowing sea. Little friend Xiao Chen, it has been a long time. This old man has been waiting for you. The one to welcome Xiao Chen at the Tao platform on the tall mountain was Desolate City's City Lord, Shangguan Yun. To think that Lord City Lord personally came to welcome us. I do not dare to accept this. Xiao Chen quickly stepped forward, not daring to tarry. Desolate City bordered the overflowing sea. It was the Heavenly Alliance's most important stronghold in the Central Great Realm. The Desolate City's City Lord was a powerhouse with a status equal to that of a core doyen. Shangguan Yun smiled happily and said, "Why would I not dare to accept this? You came from my Desolate City, and you are already a rank 6 envoy inspector before the age of 100. How could I not personally send you off when you fought so hard for me? Nangong Feng Yun Fei, you two are pretty good as well. If I am not wrong, you should be one of the heaven-defying sovereign personages who took the test back then. Now, you are already sovereign emperors. The younger will surpass you in time." When Desolate City's City Lord spoke to Xiao Chen, he did not neglect the people around him, giving him a good impression. "According to the rules, I can't keep you here. Otherwise, I'll treat you well. Look above. That is the 7-star heaven suspending warship that the Heavenly Alliance prepared for you. It is completely made of alloy." Shangguan Yun pointed above his head, and the others looked up. There was a silver warship hidden in the clouds, emitting a powerful pressure. It was like a silver dragon hidden in the clouds, ready to strike. This 7-star heaven-suspending warship made of alloy had always been in Xiao Chen's hands when he was the envoy inspector. The dazzling battleship was so dazzling that Xiao Chen couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Many years ago, Xiao Chen did not even have a heaven-suspending war chariot. Now, he had his own heaven-suspending war chariot. Furthermore, the Heavenly Alliance had modified it with heaven-suspending war chariot. "Let's go. I wish you all the best." "Thank you, City Lord." The few of them cupped their hands and left. They flew into the sky and entered the alloy armor hidden in the clouds. After Xiao Chen entered, a captain immediately came over and handed over control of the warship to him using the inspector token in his hand. "My lord, this 7-star soaring cloud warship is yours. After you retire, the Heavenly Alliance will keep it. If you want to exchange for it permanently, you will have absolute priority. I will stay on the ship for half a month to help my lord familiarize himself with this warship. I will leave when we arrive at the Yanwu dynasty." Xiao Chen felt satisfied with this captain's attitude. He said calmly, "You go first then. Mo Qin, lead everyone and send off the captain." Mo Qin nodded slightly, knowing that Xiao Chen was about to start accepting this warship. This was a 7-star heaven-suspending warship made of alloy. Furthermore, it was made of alloy. Even a peak sovereign emperor might not be able to bear to attack it after seeing it. The value of this warship was inestimable. The earlier Xiao Chen could accept it, the earlier he could. As for Xiao Chen, he casually strolled around the warship. He had experience as a pirate before. He was very familiar with the warships designed by the Pirate Alliance. Soon, he gained a rough understanding of this 7-star heaven-suspending warship. It was indeed pretty good. Heaven-suspending warships were mainly used in the Central Great Realm. They had their own merits compared to pirate ships. Not wanting to be too high-profile, Xiao Chen made the silver warship in the overflowing sea change to an ordinary sky blue color, the same as the overflowing sea. The overflowing sea was the largest inland sea in the Central Great Realm. There was a world gate in the middle of the sea, connecting to the 7 great forbidden seas of the Great Thousand Realms. There were many legends about the overflowing sea. However, most of them were forgotten long ago. Now, most people treated it as a sea of trade, known for its prosperity and prosperity. After patrolling the area, Xiao Chen went to the deck and looked at the boundless overflowing sea. He discovered many ships in the surroundings, as many as fish in the river. There were at least 10,000 ships heading for the Yanwu dynasty at the same time. After Xiao Chen's soaring cloud changed its color, it did not stand out among them. What is waiting for me in the dynasty? When faced with an unknown challenge, even if one knew that it would be very troublesome, one could not help being curious. Lin Feng's final words cast a shadow over this trip. To think that the previous 3 envoy inspectors all died. Indeed, the Yanwu dynasty was a land of trouble. However, it was good to be able to leave the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. Xiao Chen already had enough of the Heavenly Alliance's atmosphere. Being stuck between Mu Zifeng and Suiren Ji did not feel good. Compared to the Heavenly Alliance's pure profit organization, this was too stifling. After a while, Xiao Chen returned to his room and looked around. He pressed his palms together and circulated the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art. Demonic chi immediately surged out, spreading to every corner of the room. Even if someone checked in secret, they would only think that Xiao Chen was cultivating a demonic Dao cultivation technique. After all, this was not the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. There were not that many Sovereign Emperor experts on the warship. When the demonic chi turned pitch black, Xiao Chen spread his hand, and the Divine Universe steel appeared in his palm. I should have gone long ago. I had no choice but to wait until now. Xiao Chen sighed. Logically speaking, now that he was a Sovereign Emperor, he should have gone to the Blue Dragon's ancient land. However, the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters had many spies. Xiao Chen could not guarantee that no one was spying on him during every mission. Xiao Chen remained cautious and could not find an opportunity. Today, he finally got one. Whoosh! A light flashed, and Xiao Chen entered the Divine Universe steel space. The Dragon Race's Dao platform was under his feet, and a blood moon was above his head. A vast sea lay in front of Xiao Chen. There were many teleportation nodes on the sea, connecting the Divine Dragon Empire's vast transportation formations and many secret realms. At the end of the sea was a blurry blue dragon totem. Every time Xiao Chen looked into the distance, he could sense it weakly. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. If I can break through to great perfection Sovereign Emperor, I might be able to drive the Dao platform under me and directly descend to the Kunlun realm. However, I wonder what kind of trouble I will encounter if I descend to the Kunlun realm with my current strength? Let's not think about this for now. I should go to the Blue Dragon's ancient land first. Xiao Chen leaped into the air and directly entered the blood moon above his head. In the next moment, the Divine Universe steel in the room vanished with a flash. When Xiao Chen reappeared, he quickly descended from the Blue Dragon's blood moon while holding the Divine Universe steel. Egg is back. The black and white eggs, who were bickering in boredom, immediately exclaimed when they saw the figure in the blood moon. Egg is a Sovereign Emperor. Egg, come over and fight with us. The black and white eggs rejoiced. With Xiao Chen's appearance, their strength adjusted again, surpassing 3-Vein Sovereign Emperor and reaching 4-Vein Sovereign Emperor. The initially interested Xiao Chen immediately gave up when he saw the situation. These 2 puppets should have sensed that his soul energy had reached 3-Vein Sovereign Emperor. Hence, their strength was adjusted to 4-Vein Sovereign Emperor, which was 10% higher than his. However, Xiao Chen's true cultivation was only that of a 1-Vein Sovereign Emperor. How could he be a match for a 4-Vein Sovereign Emperor? What more too? Ignoring these 2 fools' cries, Xiao Chen turned into a sea of lightning and descended on the Blue Dragon's ancient city. Boom! When the sea of lightning landed on the city walls, Xiao Chen revealed himself and looked at the holy mountain in the city. Rumble! The ground shook. A blue dragon statue slowly swam at the summit of the tall mountain. A spiritual light flickered in the statue's eyes as it looked at Xiao Chen from afar, putting a mountain of pressure on him. Since you are already a Sovereign Emperor, quickly come over. The dragon spirit's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. He no longer hesitated. He gently pushed off with his feet, and his arms spread out like wings. When he landed, he happened to appear in the mouth of the blue dragon statue. Then he pushed the door open and strode in. Blue Dragon Inheritance, I, Xiaochen, am here. Chapter 22:18. After pushing open the door and entering the blue dragon statue, Xiaochen walked straight ahead. Soon he reached the end. The wall at the end had a picture of 10,000 dragons gathered. Back then, this was where Xiaochen formed the 10,000 dragons picture and obtained the right to cultivate the 10,000 dragons art. Whoosh! The dragon spirit appeared and looked at Xiaochen. Unexpectedly, you advanced to Sovereign Emperor so quickly. This truly surpassed my expectations. Xiaochen smiled faintly. He had the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's inheritance. Even if he had not entered the faux god world, he should have been able to advance to Sovereign Emperor by now. After entering the faux god world, Xiaochen's progress to Sovereign Emperor accelerated significantly. I came as promised. Now that I am a Sovereign Emperor, I wonder if I can obtain the Blue Dragon's inheritance? Xiaochen asked directly, getting straight to the point. The dragon spirit replied indifferently, right now, the Blue Dragon race's bloodline has withered. You might be the only one left. If not you, who else is qualified to inherit this inheritance? 50-odd years ago, that Heaven Dragon race clansman knelt outside the city for 100 days. Even so, I did not let him enter the city gates. Xiaochen felt slightly startled. Unexpectedly, the previous generation Heaven Dragon had such an encounter. However, you have to think this through. After obtaining the Blue Dragon's inheritance, whether you are willing or not, you will bear the fate of the Blue Dragon race. They all had to shoulder the fate of the Azure Dragon race, unable to escape. There was no other choice. You will shoulder the responsibility of reviving the Blue Dragon bloodline and reviving the dragon race. Wait! Xiaochen interrupted the other party. Then he looked at the dragon spirit and said, I know about reviving the Blue Dragon bloodline. Back then, the old dragon horse and the others in the Kunlun realm told me about it. Now, the Blue Dragon totem I laid in the Kunlun realm has improved. However, what does reviving the dragon race mean? The dragon spirit replied, Fate. Back then, be it the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor or Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, they were only one step away from establishing the supreme divine dragon dynasty, unifying the righteous Tao and the demonic Tao, and starting a new epoch. A new epoch? That's right. From the moment the Black Dragon King broke the world tree, the martial epoch entered an irreversible decline. The rise and fall of epochs is like the cycle of the 4 seasons, just like when the immortal epoch fell and the martial epoch rose. The dragon spirit said indifferently, counting from the great desolate Aeon, the dragon race has experienced many epochs, and their inheritance has not been extinguished. However, in the end, we were unable to truly create a new epoch. Our Azure Dragon race possesses the proudest bloodline of the dragon race. We ought to create an epoch that belongs to the dragon race. Xiaochen was secretly speechless and said in a low voice, It feels so far away. It's fine. Whether you're willing or not, this is the fate of the Blue Dragon race. It's unavoidable. The dragon spirit did not speak further. It said softly, Come with me. I'll bring you back to meet your ancestors and write your name on the royal genealogy records of the dragon race. Kacha. The dragon spirit gently pointed, and the wall with the 10,000 dragons picture slowly opened from the middle. In the eternal darkness, there was an ancient azure book floating quietly. What is your name? As Xiaochen found this strange, a voice suddenly rang out in his heart. Before he could react, he replied in his heart. As Xiaochen said the words, Xiaochen, in his heart, the ancient azure genealogy records quietly opened. Xiaochen's face twisted in pain and discomfort. He felt like his soul and bloodline were being pulled out by a formless force. When the name, Xiaochen, was carved on the book and the book closed, the feeling of his soul and bloodline being pulled out disappeared. After the book closed, a drop of dragon blood flew out and entered Xiaochen's forehead. In the next moment, Xiaochen felt all the blood in his body boil. His great desolate Aeon bloodline activated uncontrollably. Then, Xiaochen let out a loud cry of pain. He could no longer suppress it, roaring crazily. Dragon roars rang out everywhere, and the state of kingship spread out, shaking the world. A horrifying and startling king's dragon might burst out of Xiaochen's body. This was the king's dragon might from the ancient Great Desolate Aeon, the legendary era. Xiaochen sank into madness. The pain made him lose all rationality. An ancient mark slowly formed on his forehead. When the imprint was completely formed, Xiaochen regained his consciousness. He felt as if he had been reborn. Not only that, but he also exuded the ancient king's dragon might with every movement. Xiaochen's aura changed completely. Not only that, but the power of the blue dragon in his bloodline seemed even stronger than before. The most shocking thing was that he could now control his Great Desolate Aeon bloodline as he pleased. After the Great Desolate Aeon bloodline erupted, his strength would soar wildly. However, it would not last for long. The side effects were obvious. After the bloodline was activated, there would be a long period of weakness. However, now that the bloodline was clearly activated, Xiaochen did not feel any madness at all. Everything seemed to be as it should be. This is my strength in the first place. Naturally, it should be under my control. What's wrong with me? Xiaochen looked at the dragon spirit in shock, not understanding what was going on. King, you are now the king of the blue dragon race. The blue dragon king is you, Xiaochen. Your name is already written in the royal genealogical record. Naturally, your bloodline is the royal blue dragon bloodline. Although the other bloodlines proclaim themselves kings, their names are not written in the royal genealogical record. None of them are true kings. The dragon spirit said, back then, although Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun was defeated, the royal genealogical record did not fall into the enemy's hands. Whoever possesses the royal genealogical record holds the authority to be conferred king. Now, in this martial epoch, only the dragon race truly possesses the royal genealogical record. The royal genealogical records of the other Great Desolate Aeon races were lost long ago. This slightly stunned Xiaochen. Although he was conferred the title of Blue Dragon King in the Kunlun realm, in reality, that was just a title. It did not bring about any change. This time, Xiaochen was able to properly acknowledge his ancestors and obtain a drop of royal true dragon blood. From today onward, he would be the bona fide Blue Dragon King, not just a title. Did you just say that I have the authority to be conferred king? A brilliant light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes as he looked at the royal genealogical record. The dragon spirit said indifferently, now that you are the Blue Dragon King, this royal genealogical record naturally belongs to you. Those dragon kings not written in the genealogical record are all false kings. The Dragon Emperor is also a false emperor. The authority to be conferred king. This was probably the most valuable treasure in the Blue Dragon inheritance. Xiaochen found it incredible just thinking about it. With this genealogical record, he would have an additional trump card in his fight for the Dragon Emperor position. Come, follow me to the inheritance hall. Right after the dragon spirit spoke, the 10,000 dragons picture walls reappeared, isolating the royal genealogical record in that eternal darkness. Xiaochen followed the dragon spirit, making many turns before arriving at the inheritance hall. The inheritance hall had a total of 7 floors. Restrictions surrounded the entire hall, radiating the blue dragon's might. Bathing in the familiar blue dragon's might, Xiaochen felt a sense of familiarity and comfort. Each floor of this inheritance hall has a corresponding supreme treasure, be it alchemy recipes, secret treasures, cultivation techniques, or all three. Aside from the first floor, which does not require a challenge, the remaining 6 floors require you to pass a test before you can enter. The dragon spirit pointed to the inheritance hall and introduced it to Xiaochen. Can I enter now? Xiaochen asked in anticipation. You can. The dragon spirit paused for a moment before continuing. However, only a small number of treasures will appear on each floor. The first floor will be randomly distributed based on your strength. The later floors will be based on your performance in the tests. The better you perform, the more rewards you will receive. Xiaochen asked curiously, there's such a thing? Didn't you say that all the inheritances here belong to me? Why is there such a setup? The dragon spirit laughed softly and said, "What are you thinking? Since this is the inheritance hall, naturally, it has to be passed down from generation to generation. Could it be that you want to empty out this treasury? Such a setup ensures that my blue dragon race will never decline. As long as the bloodline survives, there will be a time for us to rise again. Now that you are the Blue Dragon King and the Dragon Emperor in the future, you have the responsibility of enriching the inheritance hall." Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. After thinking about it, he agreed. So, he did not say anything more and headed for the inheritance hall. The invisible restrictions sensed the royal blue dragon bloodline in Xiao Chen's body. They did not stop him at all, letting him enter smoothly. This is? A weapon was stabbed into the centermost stone pillar of the inheritance hall's first floor. It was a black saber. Xiao Chen felt excited. Although his tyrant saber had been modified several times and was already comparable to an ordinary inferior-grade soul tool, it was still a Dao tool and not a soul tool. In terms of grade, it was still a Dao tool and not a soul tool. Given Xiao Chen's status as a rank 6 envoy inspector, it was no longer appropriate for him to continue using a Dao tool. Xiao Chen walked over with large strides and saw the words, "Heavenly Waters," on the stone pillar. Heavenly Waters? Your name is Heavenly Waters? Chapter 2219. Heavenly Slayer. A pretty good name, Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Then he stretched out his hand and grasped the saber's hilt. A familiar feeling came. The saber hilt seemed to be made from the trunk of a thundercliff tree, similar to the 200,000-year-old herb king that Xiao Chen once obtained. Suddenly, a loud rumble rang out, and the saber half burst forth with resplendent electric light. The entire inheritance hall's first floor trembled slightly. Xiao Chen tried to pull the saber out but found it extremely strenuous. The electricity from the saber continuously bombarded his physical body. Interesting. This saber has a rather bad temper. Xiao Chen snorted coldly, and his Thunder Dao domain spread out. He immediately pulled the saber out by 1 centimeter. Following that was an even stronger counterattack. Strands of electricity gathered in the hall, forming electric blades that shot at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen strengthened his Thunder Dao domain to the second layer. The electric blades flying over immediately turned to dust, knocked away. You have a temper. However, I do not have the time to continue playing with you. Xiao Chen smiled, and his Thunder Dao domain broke through the second layer and the third layer, reaching the fourth layer. Then, a saber light flickered on his forehead as he brought out his Saber Dao domain. The instant the two Dao domains layered over each other, Xiao Chen pulled hard and pulled the saber out in one breath. Kasi. The instant the saber was completely drawn from the stone pillar, there seemed to be the sound of something shattering. Was it a heart shattering? It was not a heart shattering but the sky shattering. If Xiao Chen could see through the inheritance hall, he would see a continuous crack in the sky of the land of the blood moon when the Heavenly Slayer saber was drawn, looking like a wound. The saber was 2.5 fingers wide and 1.3 meters long, looking like a lone peak piercing the clouds. The tip of the saber had a 30-degree angle. Electric patterns spread out like ripples on the black saber, giving off a bleak chill. After Xiao Chen drew the Heavenly Slayer saber, a jade strip slowly floated out. Xiao Chen reached out and grabbed the jade strip. Immediately, words introducing Heavenly Slayer appeared in his mind. Heavenly Slayer, a medial-grade soul tool, a weapon. The blade was forged from the demonic tribulation lightning metal, and the handle was made from the ancient lightning cliff tree. The ancient lightning dragon true soul was infused into it. The devil tribulation lightning gold was a transcendent divine material that was produced when an ancient devil monarch underwent the true god tribulation. It was ferocious and domineering, containing heavenly Dao killing intent. It was sharp, able to release demonic tribulation divine lightning, as if it was heavenly punishment. If it was activated at full strength, it could shatter the sky, cause the sun and moon to lose their light, and cause the stars to fall. After it was successfully forged, It had been soaked in the chaotic space's lightning sea for 10,000 years, causing the heavenly Tao's killing intent to be restrained. Among medial-grade soul tools, it was infinitely close to superior grade. The requirements for using it were quite high, requiring an extremely high foundation in the path of lightning. If there was no need, do not use it. Once the heavenly Tao's killing intent is unleashed, if it doesn't kill, it will harm itself. Bang! Just then, the stone pillar shattered, and a scabbard appeared. After Xiaochen recognized it as its master, he sheathed it with satisfaction. However, the last sentence made him somewhat cautious. Once the heavenly Tao's killing intent was unleashed, if it didn't kill, it would harm itself. Very good. As a replacement for the tyrant saber, Xiaochen liked this heavenly slayer. Under normal circumstances, using the tyrant saber would be sufficient. After all, once he used a soul tool, it would feel like he would not rest until he died. Xiaochen looked around but did not discover anything valuable. He felt somewhat disappointed. Although a medial-grade soul tool was already very valuable, especially since it was a weapon that Xiaochen could use, this place was, after all, the Blue Dragon's Inheritance Hall. However, this was the Azure Dragon's Inheritance Hall, after all. Xiaochen harbored great expectations. Feeling dissatisfied, he continued searching. After a while, a wall attracted Xiaochen's attention. There was another 10,000 dragons picture on it. It seemed somewhat different. It was also a 10,000 dragons picture. However, this 10,000 dragons picture had the blue dragon in the middle, with the other true dragons serving as foils. So, that's how it is. Xiaochen's face lit up in joy as he slowly understood the meaning of the painting. There were actually some hidden words in the painting. It turned out that this was an advanced cultivation technique for the 10,000 dragons art. Forming the 10,000 dragons picture was only the first step to cultivating the 10,000 dragons art. The later steps were the most important. Xiaochen found his bloodline and advanced it step by step. Finally, the 10,000 dragons art would evolve into the ancestor dragon art. The entire inheritance hall had a total of 7 floors. Each floor had an advanced cultivation technique. After 7 floors, it would evolve into the ancestor dragon art. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen sat down cross-legged and started to cultivate this advanced cultivation technique. Xiaochen's divine energy surged and materialized many dragon images, forming the 10,000 dragons picture. As the cultivation technique circulated, the dragon images flickered and changed continuously. Dragon images circled Xiaochen's body, changing unpredictably. The thousands of dragon images changed at will. The thousands of dragon images scattered, and only a blue dragon image remained behind Xiaochen. Following that, many dragon images reformed with the blue dragon as the center. 2 days later, Xiaochen opened his eyes again, and a brand new 10,000 dragons picture formed behind him. Xiaochen formally cultivated the 10,000 dragons art's first layer. With the blue dragon as the core and the 10,000 dragons as support, the entire 10,000 dragons picture improved further. After hesitating for a while, Xiaochen did not continue forward. It was not yet time to enter the second floor. After leaving the inheritance hall, the dragon spirit said softly, "It looks like you already comprehended the advanced cultivation technique for the 10,000 dragons art. Not bad. With your current cultivation, you are not far from opening your second divine vein. At that time, you will be able to enter the second floor's inheritance hall." What's wrong? Does the second floor's inheritance hall require 2 divine veins to enter? The dragon spirit smiled and said, "That might not be the case. However, you can give it a try. You cannot pass the test with just 1 divine vein." Xiaochen shook his head and said, "There's no need. When my saber technique improves further, I will come and challenge you. I have to go now." The dragon spirit nodded and said, "I look forward to your next visit." After accepting the blue dragon's inheritance, Xiaochen had gained a medial-grade soul tool, the Heavenly Slayer Saber. He had been conferred the title of Blue Dragon King and obtained the Royal Blue Dragon bloodline, successfully advancing the 10,000 dragons art. Xiaochen's harvest in this trip to the land of the Blood Moon surpassed Xiaochen's expectations. Be it the Heavenly Slayer Saber, the Royal Blue Dragon bloodline, or the brand new 10,000 Dragons picture, they all allowed Xiao Chen's strength to soar. Now, those sovereign emperors who had not condensed any divine veins could not last one move against Xiao Chen. No matter how demonic or strong a one-vein sovereign emperor was, Xiao Chen could easily kill them. As long as one was not an outstanding talent or had a fortuitous encounter, he could crush a two-vein sovereign emperor. Even against a three-vein sovereign emperor, if Xiao Chen brought out all his trump cards, his chances of victory would still be high. Only a great perfection sovereign emperor could put some pressure on Xiao Chen. However, if the other party underestimated him, his chances of victory would be hard to say. After leaving the ancient Blue Dragon City, Xiao Chen turned into a bolt of lightning and landed before the black and white eggs, looking like he teleported. "Long time no see," Xiao Chen said softly. The black and white eggs smiled and said, "Cut the crap. Come and fight with us first. Our hands are itching. How many years has it been since we bullied you? If we don't, we won't get another chance." Right. Brat, your growth and strength is really horrifying." These two fellows had adjusted their cultivation to four-vein sovereign emperor. Furthermore, they had faux god foundations. Furthermore, they were puppets. Naturally, Xiao Chen would not seek a beating for no reason. If you want to exchange moves, sure. Come one at a time or two at the same time. That's all, Xiao Chen said rationally. Who wants to go one at a time with you? We are here to bully you. If we cannot bully you, why would we fight with you? Egg, you are really shameless. The black and white eggs immediately became unhappy when they heard that, so they started blabbering on and on. Never mind. Actually, I came this time mainly to bring you out for a stroll. What is the point of the two of you bickering here all day? If you are capable, come out with me and see what true experts are like. Xiao Chen ignored the two's chatter and started bewitching them. The black egg shook its head and said, "The two of us want to go out as well. However, we have master's final orders." Xiao Chen said honestly, "Actually, the dragon egg emptied out this inheritance palace back then. The two of you are guarding an empty city." "What? I don't believe you. I want to go and take a look." The two felt shocked and incredulous when they heard that. When they entered the palace and saw an empty hall, they were immediately stupefied. "What a great dragon egg. To think that you are so ruthless. You emptied out master's inheritance all by yourself. Not even dregs remained. To think that we guarded it for so many years. Damn dragon egg, after we go out, we will find you and beat you up into meat paste." After a while, the black and white eggs appeared before Xiao Chen. They said, "Come, we'll go with you. Once we three eggs work together, we will be unrivaled. No one will be a match for us. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go." The two battle puppets were bored out of their minds in the land of the blood rain. In reality, they had wanted to go out long ago. Everything went as Xiao Chen expected. He smiled faintly and called the black and white eggs into the divine universe steel. Chapter 2220. Demonic chi and black smoke continued to surge in Xiao Chen's room on the alloy warship. Whoosh! A light flashed, and the divine universe steel returned to the room from the land of the blood moon. Soon after, three figures appeared one after another. After Xiao Chen appeared, he gently waved his hand, and all the demonic chi immediately vanished. Then, two combat puppets, one black and one white, appeared at the same time. A 7-star heaven suspending warship. Its entire body is made of alloy. You really struck it rich. The black and white eggs had followed their faux god master and were very knowledgeable. They immediately recognized the alloy warship. The black and white eggs immediately praised it excitedly. Xiao Chen revealed a faint smile. Although the black and white eggs were only four-vein sovereign emperors, they had the foundations of a faux god. The black and white eggs were especially good at working together. Although they were four-vein sovereign emperors, five-vein sovereign emperors, or even six-vein sovereign emperors might not have an advantage over them. However, Xiao Chen had to think of a reason for the two to appear. "The two of you, can you make yourselves appear to be early-stage sovereign emperors in the eyes of others?" Xiao Chen asked softly after thinking for a while. Black Egg smiled and replied, "How difficult is that? According to the rules that Master left, we can only increase our strength if you increase it. However, we can lower our strength freely so you don't have to worry." Xiao Chen thought about it and agreed. When he first met the black and white eggs, he had thought that they were only great perfection holy venerates. "I am somewhat curious. I am clearly only a one-vein sovereign emperor. How did the two of you adjust to four-vein sovereign emperors?" White Egg giggled at Xiao Chen's doubts. "Do you think we are fools? Your soul energy already reached that of a three-vein sovereign emperor. If we were only two-vein sovereign emperors, you would have crushed us." Xiao Chen was immediately speechless. If the black and white eggs had been two-vein sovereign emperors, he would not have minded exchanging moves with them. The two of us are going out for a walk." The black and white eggs finally left the land of the blood moon. After saying goodbye, they pushed the door open and left. Xiao Chen could not stop them. Hey, there's actually a girl. Unfortunately, her butt is not big enough, and she is not tall enough. It doesn't look good. Let's go." A startled cry came from outside. The black and white eggs startled Bao, who quickly entered Xiao Chen's room. "Young master, what are those two things?" The panicked Bao said with a trembling voice, her face still showing some lingering fear. Xiao Chen said softly, "These are two combat puppets that I obtained in the past. They are quite intelligent, but don't worry, they don't have any ill intentions. It's just that their mouths are a little poisonous." A strange look flashed in Bao's eyes. She patted her chest and said, "Mister, next time you have a battle puppet like this, you have to tell me beforehand. You scared Bao to death just now." Xiao Chen knew that she had doubts in her heart. However, she should not be able to guess the mysteries behind it. He stood up and asked, "How much longer before we arrive at the Yanwu dynasty?" "Young master, our luck is not bad. The overflowing sea is calm, and our journey is smooth." Bao answered obediently. After looking at the black and white eggs messed up the room, Xiao Chen said, "Tidy up. I'm going out for a walk." "All right." Soon, Xiao Chen, who was strolling around the warship, heard the sounds of fighting. He followed the sounds and arrived at a dojo in the alloy warship. Then he saw the black and white eggs fighting saber demon Wu Meng. Wu Meng was a sovereign emperor of the black and white eggs bloodline. The black and white eggs suppressed their strength to the same level. At the side, Emochen, Nangong Feng, and the others watched interestedly. Bang! Wu Meng got knocked off the arena. He showed a pained expression, his eyes filled with confusion. Trash. You can't even defeat my two combat puppets." The black and white eggs mocked Wu Meng cockily. Nangong Feng said, "Big brother Wu Meng already lost 3 times. Each time, he could not last more than 10 moves. Strange. Where did Xiao Chen's two combat puppets come from?" "Hey, big brother Xiao, you are here." When Emochen saw Xiao Chen, she smiled faintly and said softly. Xiao Chen nodded. Then he walked over and asked, "What happened?" Emochen explained. He said that Egg brought these two combat puppets over. After explaining for a long time, we understood that it was referring to your big brother Xiao. After that, for some reason, he started fighting with Wu Meng, saying that he wanted to torture him. Nangong Feng smiled and said, "Xiao Chen, do you really have a nickname called Egg?" The others also looked over curiously, revealing smiles on their faces. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. His illustrious reputation was going to be ruined. "These are two combat puppets that I obtained by chance. I just recovered them today. If you are interested, I can give them to you. If you are interested, you can exchange moves with them. They should be able to improve your strength significantly." "Really?" Yun Fei and the other two asked with interest, their eyes lighting up. Of course. Fighting with the black and white eggs had significantly improved Xiao Chen's strength. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could endure the torture of these two fools. In that case, I will have to give it a try later. Hence, the miserable cries on the alloy warship did not stop for the next few days. Every day, aside from refining the soul-accumulating pill, Chen started to practice the Mahama abstinence violation saber techniques. Fifth move, 3-life flower. 3-life flower. When one flower bloomed, 3 lives appeared. This vaguely seemed similar to Chen's state of cycle. However, after so many years of research, Chen understood that it did not have much to do with the state of cycle. Chen only recently comprehended the true meaning of this. The 3-life flower cleansed all the glory of one's previous life. The instant the flower bloomed, all the glory would be cleansed, illuminating one's previous life and current life. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Chen's group crossed the overflowing sea and finally arrived in the Yanwu dynasty's territory. Aside from Chen, Chen, and Bao, the others appeared fatigued and dispirited. Naturally, the reason went without saying. Anyone who had been tortured by the black and white eggs for 10 days would end up like this. Their physical bodies were still weaker than Chen's. However, as Chen said, their strength had indeed soared. A short 10 days equaled half a year's worth of experiential training, perhaps even more. Wu Meng could even fight the black and white eggs to a draw at the same cultivation realm. When Wu Meng was on the verge of victory, the black and white eggs decisively stopped fighting him and focused on training Nangong Feng and the other two. Young master, should we communicate with the nearby Heavenly Alliance factions and get them to send us to the imperial capital? Bao asked. This was her responsibility. Chen waved his hand and said, "There's no need. We will not startle anyone and head directly to the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters in the Yanwu dynasty. I recall that the dynasty's headquarters is in some building?" Bao reminded, "The Misty Rain Pavilion." Chen muttered to herself, "The Misty Rain Pavilion. This name is rather poetic. It does not seem to have much to do with the Merchant Association." The 3 dynasties occupied the lands where luck gathered in the central Great Realm. The dynasty's capitals occupied the extremes of luck and heavenly luck. The martial epic's Dragon Vein's origin was a gathering place of the world's outstanding talents. The Yanwu dynasty's imperial capital, Yan City, at the foot of Spirit Vulture Mountain by the Flaming River, a Buddha statue stood at the summit of this spirit mountain. This was the Kasyapa Buddha. The Buddha statue looked majestic and colossal, looking down on the common people. It had a benevolent expression as it smiled, showing the Buddha's benevolence. Legend had it that the hidden spirit temple was built on this spirit mountain. However, there were many temples on the mountain, and visitors came in an endless stream. However, no one had seen where the hidden spirit temple was. No matter what, this was the largest holy land of the Orthodox Buddhist sects, the place where all the incense offerings in the world gathered. The Yanwu dynasty had 100 provinces. Each province had 100 counties. Each county equaled half of the Great Thousand Realms. The royal court controlled the Yan province. The Yan province occupied nearly 1/3 of the dynasty's land. Each of the Yan province's 100 counties was incredibly vast and boundless. Hundreds of millions of people lived there. There were many sects, countless noble clans, and many outstanding talents. The royal court firmly controlled the entire Yan province. It had deep accumulations and occupied the dynasty's luck. The Yan province's 100 county lords were either royal court princes or noble clans' clan heads. They held high statuses, even stronger than some feudal lords. Some of the horrifying county lords were even feudal lords in the first place, holding conferred lands in other provinces. The imperial capital, Yan City, was in the center of these 100 counties. The entire Yan province's 100 counties were like a coiled flame dragon. This Yan City was the dragon's head, spreading out layer by layer, firmly controlling the Yanwu dynasty from there. Yan City was the dynasty's true center, where all the sects and factions of the dynasty gathered. The super-factions of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao in the martial epic, as well as the rank 7 sects, all had their merchant associations, connections, and residences here. Even the Tianwu dynasties and the Shenwu dynasty's imperial capitals were inferior to Yan cities in terms of prosperity. This was because the hidden spirit temple was ethereal and did not exert any strong control over the Yanwu dynasty. They only interacted with each other and often did not even show themselves. The hidden spirit temple was unlike the profound Heaven Holy Land and the Universe Origin sect, which firmly controlled their respective dynasties and ostracized the other factions. They were less tolerant than the Buddhist sect's Holy Lands. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it would be hard to find another capital like Yen City that could gather so many cultivators and super factions. No one knew what awaited Shaoqin. Chapter 22-21. Yen Province's 100 Counties. In the center of the 100 counties was the imperial capital, Yen City. Outside Yen City was a vast region known as the Outer City. Ordinary people without high cultivations were not qualified to live in Yen City. To enter the imperial capital, one needed to be at least a primal core realm cultivator, a primal core venerate with some status elsewhere. There were hundreds of millions of cultivators in the imperial capital. However, in this imperial capital, primal core venerates could only do the lowest jobs, serving tea, clearing trash, and welcoming guests. Even so, an endless stream of primal core venerates wanted to come to Yen City, putting in a lot of effort to enter the city. It was not just the central Great Realm. Countless primal core venerates in the outer seas of the entire martial epoch wanted to enter Yen City. There were even some who stayed in the outer city for decades, all for the sake of making more contributions and obtaining a spot to enter Yen City. But naturally, there was a reason. The currency in Yen City was primeval heavenly pills. That was to say, even if one served tea or cleared trash, doing the lowest jobs, one would obtain more benefits than a regular rank 6 sect. Only rank 7 sects outside could refine primeval heavenly pills. Regular disciples could only obtain a limited number of primeval heavenly pills. Perhaps they might as well do odd jobs in Yen City, where they would gain more. Based on this, one could see how prosperous this imperial capital Yen City was. To cultivators, it was a holy city. To merchant associations, it was even more incredible. The currency here was primeval heavenly pills. The benefits of doing business here went without saying. Compared to the other two dynasties' imperial capitals, which were strictly controlled, the open and tolerant Yen City was the most prosperous in the world. Shaoqin and the others spent half a month silently arriving at the imperial capital Yen City. Along the way, the group managed to obtain some information about the dynasty's imperial capital. However, when they arrived, they were still shocked for a long time. The difference between the Yenwu dynasty's other counties and Yen province's imperial capital was like that of clouds and mud. No wonder people said that as long as they firmly controlled Yen province, the royal court would never have to worry about the other counties rebelling. Guided by someone, Shaoqin arrived at the imperial capital, Yen City, near the Misty Rain Pavilion. In front of the building, there was an endless stream of horses and carriages. There was an endless stream of customers entering and exiting the building. The booming business left one speechless. All of them were cultivators with high cultivations, exuding a noble aura from their bodies. With one look, one could tell that some of the young cultivators were either the young masters of noble clans or relatives of the royal family. They all had the dragon chi of the royal family on them, looking noble and extraordinary. The few of them stood in front of the building and listened to the melodious music coming from inside. They were slightly startled. The Misty Rain Pavilion was actually a brothel. The Heavenly Alliance's headquarters in the Yenwu dynasty is actually a pleasure quarter. Is there a mistake? Clearly stunned, Bao said sullenly, "Young master, the appointment certificate does indeed say the Misty Rain Pavilion. There is no mistake." Emochin smiled softly and said, "It is not impossible to establish the headquarters in a brothel. At the very least, the effect is pretty good to deceive others. Let's go in and see." Shaoqin did not intend to startle the person in charge. He led Nangong Feng, Wu Meng, and the others directly to the doors. Nangong Feng smiled and said, "I heard that the dynasty's capital has always been peaceful. The noble clan disciples and relatives of the royal family all indulge in extravagance and wealth, competing with each other. They call visiting a pleasure quarter a pleasure. They might even compete with each other for the sake of some singers they like, spending a lot of money and even fighting over them. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "There is no need to hear about it. This is the truth." After a long period of peace, the so-called martial holy cities slowly changed. In this imperial capital Yen City, some of the famous singers are known as headliners. They only sell their skills and not their bodies. Their status is even higher than that of a grandmaster of the martial Dao. This is really absurd. The martial epoch does not respect the strong. To think that they pursue such vanity, Wu Meng said with some disdain as his lips curled up. Xiao Chen did not dislike singers and headliners. The music Dao and singing and dancing were all great Daos. The azure lotus sword fairy from the fairy basket that Xiao Chen once obtained was one of these great Daos. She was so strong that Xiao Chen still found her unfathomable. However, a group of noble clan disciples and relatives of the royal family blindly pursuing such vanity was somewhat neglecting the essentials. Perhaps Yen City had to pay a price to become the most bustling capital in the world. This young master looks somewhat unfamiliar. Are you an honored guest from outside? The manservant at the entrance asked softly when he saw Xiao Chen's group. Xiao Chen did not deny it. He replied softly, "Yes, I have long heard of the Misty Rain Pavilion's name, so I came to take a look. Sorry, if you are not an honored guest of this shop, you will need to pay a certain amount of primeval heavenly pills before you can enter," the manservant apologized softly. However, he revealed an aloof expression in his eyes. The group hid their cultivations. Aside from their extraordinary auras, they did not have the noble air of noble clan disciples or relatives of the royal family. It would be hard to avoid looking down on them. The manservant at the entrance was a major primal core cultivator in the first place. He had seen many major characters before, so he did not care about the auras of Xiao Chen's group. The manservant at the entrance was a major primal core cultivator in the first place. He had seen many major characters, so he did not care about the auras of Xiao Chen's group. This was especially so when he heard that they had just arrived at Yen City, so his attitude was somewhat stiff. Yun Fei frowned slightly and said, "First, you have not eaten or drank tea. You have to pay primeval heavenly pills to enter? Rules are rules. If you are reluctant to pay primeval heavenly pills, please leave. Our Misty Rain Pavilion never lacks guests," the manservant said with a polite expression while smiling. Xiao Chen stopped the angry Yun Fei and asked softly, "What is your name?" "This humble one is Zhang Ping. I have been in Yen City for 4 or 5 years already. Do you have any instructions for me?" When the manservant mentioned that he had been in Yen City for 4 or 5 years, he appeared very proud, acting like they had just arrived at Yen City. Xiao Chen asked calmly, "How many primeval heavenly pills do you need?" "If you are not an honored guest, you will need to pay 100 primeval heavenly pills before you can enter. Tea and drinks are included, not even one less," the manservant replied indifferently. Xiao Chen immediately felt some heartache. Back when he first entered the Heaven Dragon Palace, his monthly stipend was only 1,000 primeval heavenly pills. Emo Chin, give it to him. Xiao Chen did not have any primeval heavenly pills on hand. He had already exchanged the primeval heavenly pills for origin liquid. He had also exchanged most of the origin liquid before he left, leaving only 5 tons of origin liquid in reserve. Emo Chin stepped forward and handed the manservant 100 primeval heavenly pills. Then, the manservant led the group in with a smile. After entering the pavilion, the group discovered a completely different world inside. The hall was not like a hotel. Instead, it was a small world of its own. There were 50 kilometers of peach trees and small rivers. The guests gathered in groups of 3 to 5. White clouds floated in the center. A stage made of heavenly mountain white jade was on the white clouds. On the stage, a woman was playing the pipa and singing a clear song. The tune changed unpredictably. Sometimes, it sounded like a mountain stream hitting a rock. Sometimes, it sounded like a gushing river, looking grand and majestic. Many mysterious phenomena appeared behind her. Sometimes, a bright moon soared up amid the misty rain. Sometimes, hundreds of flowers bloomed. Sometimes, great rivers materialized, changing according to the tune. As the song played, it felt real and fake at the same time, like a dream or illusion. Immersed in it, they did not want to wake up. They only wished that the song would continue, that they would not wake up from this dream. This was the first time the group saw such a spectacle, so they felt shocked. After standing there for a while, the music attracted their attention. Shock flashed in Wu Meng's eyes. He said seriously, "The woman playing this tune is actually a sovereign personage. This is really strange." Disdain flashed in the manservant Zhang Ping's eyes. He thought to himself, in the end, this is still a country bumpkin who has not seen the world. He teased, "To think that you can make out headliner Zi Yun's cultivation. That is not easy. You came at a bad time. You saw it for yourself. Headliner Zi Yun is performing today, so the Peach Blossom Pavilion is full. There is only one private room left. If you do not mind, you can only stand." Wu Meng was a sovereign emperor who had opened one divine vein. Naturally, he would not make things difficult for this primal core realm manservant. He could not be bothered with this minor character. Wu Meng did not answer, waiting for Xiao Qin to speak. "A private room, then?" Xiao Qin said indifferently. The manservant felt incredibly shocked. He frowned and said, "Are you sure you want to go to a private room? The cost will not be low. It will be calculated based on time." This tight frown made the others unhappy. However, they all had Xiao Chen's instructions to keep a low profile and explore the Misty Rain Pavilion first. Furthermore, the other party was just an insignificant primal core venerate. They could only let the other party act arrogantly. Xiao Chen countered with a question, "What's wrong? Do we need to pay in advance to go to a private room?" The manservant Zhang Ping smiled and said, "There is no need for that. No one in Yen City who dares to renege on a debt in the Misty Rain Pavilion has been born yet." Under Zhang Ping's lead, the group arrived at a private room and sat down. The seats were pretty good. The windows were wide open, allowing them to clearly see the performance on the stage in the center. "You can withdraw first. There is nothing else for you to do," Xiao Chen said casually, and Zhang Ping withdrew with a smile. He did not even ask if the group wanted maidservants to accompany them to drink, directly withdrawing. Xiao Chen thought that the group probably came to the private room to pretend to be fatso. How could they have the extra money to pay for maidservants? After the food and wine were served, Bao obediently poured wine and tea for Xiao Chen and the others, playing the role of a maidservant. "Bao, sit and eat with us. There is no need to stand on ceremony," Imochen said with some heartache when she saw Bao standing around busying herself. Bao smiled and said, "Thank you, Miss Imochen. However, Bao is a maidservant in the first place. This is what I should do." When Imochen saw the situation, she did not say anything more. The group had been on the move for days and could not be bothered to rest. Furthermore, there was a performance of the music Dao that they had never seen before. The group chatted happily in the private room. Xiao Chen observed in secret, wanting to see if there was anything suspicious. In the future, he would have to guard this place for a long time. It was necessary for him to hide his identity and come to check. However, just at this moment, a discordant voice came from outside. "Damn it! I want to see who is occupying my private room. It is rare for this young master to come, yet you want me to be a standing guest. Your Misty Rain Pavilion is really something." Bang! Amid the commotion, the door to the private room that Xiao Chen and the others were in was pushed open rudely. Chapter 22-22. Bang! Someone pushed open the door to the private room, and a youth barged in. A group of people followed behind this youth, all of them giving off an unconcealable sword intent. They should be from the same sect. Otherwise, their sword intent would not be so clear. Zhang Ping complained endlessly as he stood at the side, not daring to stop them. "You clearly come here once in a few hundred years. You did not pay a deposit and only said so. Why can't you give it to someone else?" However, Zhang Ping only dared to grumble about this in his heart, continuously apologizing on the surface. Among the group of people, only an old man attracted the attention of Xiao Chen, Wu Meng, and the others. This was because this person was the only one vain sovereign emperor. The others were sovereign personages. Before becoming a sovereign emperor, no matter how heaven-defying one would not be worth mentioning in their eyes, not even worth a second glance. With this look, the group calmed down. They maintained their calm expressions as they looked at this group of people. Only Xiaochen entered deep thought when he saw the youth leading the group. This youth seemed somewhat familiar, but he could not recall where he had seen him before. Xiaochen. That youth had an extraordinary aura, giving off a faint dragon chi of a dynasty. Clearly, he was a relative of the royal family, possessing the royal bloodline and showing a noble air. Boom! In that instant, that youth's aura erupted, ignoring the Misty Rain Pavilion's rule of not fighting. He did not hold back at all when he erupted. That startling killing chi spread out. This instantly shattered the harmonious atmosphere of the Misty Rain Pavilion. The pipa music of the headliner Zi Yun, who was playing on the stage, stopped. All the guests turned their curious gazes to this place. Although the Misty Rain Pavilion was not the peak pleasure quarter of Yen City, its background was still terrifying. Even a regular prince would have to think twice before making a move here. Sometimes, even if it was hard to avoid conflict, it would be due to bickering. Most of them did not dare to fight. This was because everyone understood the rules. Just like today, Xiaochen had unleashed all of his aura without restraint. His killing intent was so cold that it was somewhat frightening. How great was this grudge? Such a strange matter caused many guests to cast their gazes over, wanting to see what was going on. No! However, just as that person soared into the sky and was about to attack Xiaochen, the sovereign emperor old man in the group rushed forward in a panic and firmly restrained his young master. Elder Feng, let go. I want to kill him. I must kill him. I want to grind his bones to dust. I want him to die a horrible death. The finely dressed young man was suppressed by his own clan's expert, and he felt extremely uncomfortable. His eyes were bloodshot, and he fell into a frenzy. However, Elder Feng grumbled inwardly. He even wanted to curse out loud. Who could you possibly kill? The table across from him seemed unremarkable. However, most of the people at the table were sovereign emperors. This was especially so for the white-clad person in the middle. With just one glance, Senior Feng felt extreme fear in his heart. Wu Meng and the others showed indifferent expressions as they watched this scene. Their expressions did not change at all. Xiaochen raised his wine cup and discovered that it was already empty. Before he could do anything, Bao, who was at the side, smiled gently and obediently filled Xiaochen's cup. After the wine entered his mouth, Xiaochen slowly put down his cup. Then he looked at the newcomer with some misgivings. I seem to recognize you, but I can't recall who you are. I am Monarch Yu Wang Ling. Elder Feng, let go of me. Let me kill him. When the newcomer heard that Xiaochen did not even remember his name, he could not help roaring angrily, feeling greatly humiliated. The atmosphere turned somewhat awkward. Monarch Yu was enraged, but Elder Feng firmly held him down. His fellow disciples looked at each other in dismay, not knowing what to do. Monarch Yu. I recognize him. His father is the current Duke Yun. Strange. Why is the old man beside him holding him down, not letting him make a move? Isn't that simple? He must have broken the brothel's rules. That might not be the case. The way I see it, the strangeness of this matter probably stems from that white-clad person. This person is clearly not simple. This is also strange. To think that this person does not even know Monarch Yu. However, when Monarch Yu saw him, he seemed to go crazy. The strange scene in the private room confused everyone. They could not figure out what was going on. Monarch Yu? Xiaochen revealed a doubtful expression. He asked sullenly, which Monarch Yu? I do not know any Monarch Yu. Damn it. Xiaochen, do you think that you can escape death by pretending to be crazy? Back then, when we parted at the Soaring Dragon Marquis's residence, I swore that if I did not kill you in this life, I would not be human. I did everything I could, but I could not find you. To think that you actually delivered yourself to me. Elder Feng, let go of me. If you still do not let go of me, I will get my father to kill you when I return. Monarch Yu Wangling glared at Xiao Qin. If looks could kill, Xiao Qin would have died hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of times already. Elder Feng did not seem to hear what Wang Ling said. He smiled softly and said, "This young master, my clan's young master, is speaking nonsense. Sorry for making a fool of himself. Since you do not know him, we will leave first. Goodbye, goodbye." Seeing that Xiao Qin could not remember who he was, Elder Feng felt lucky and wanted to quickly leave with Monarch Yu. Xiao Qin toyed with the wine cup in his hand, entering deep thought. Then he said sullenly, "Wait a moment. I remember who he is. Monarch Yu, this was a grudge from many years ago. Back when Xiao Qin first entered the Central Great Realm, Lan Luo's father, the Soaring Dragon Marquis, invited someone to compete with him in archery on the battlefield. Xiao Qin shot 3 arrows in a row, defeating the other party with every arrow. However, the other party refused to give up and took out his secret treasure. In the end, Xiao Qin shot an arrow with the god Shadow Bao, defeating the other party again. In the end, Monarch Yu continued to act shamelessly, wanting to use sword techniques to kill Xiao Qin. After being defeated, Monarch Yu tried to gang up on Xiao Qin. Such a person looked elegant on the surface. Furthermore, he was a member of the royal family, acting all pretentious. However, after peeling off that layer of hypocrisy, he was even more loathsome than a hoodlum. He did not know himself and was as difficult to deal with as a mad dog. No wonder Xiao Qin could not remember him. Almost 8 years had passed. How could Xiao Qin spend any effort to remember someone who was not even comparable to trash? If not for Xiao Qin reminding him a few times, Xiao Qin would not have remembered. At this moment, Elder Feng was somewhat frightened silly. He said embarrassedly, "Sir, my clan's young master is Duke Yun's son. He already has a noble title, and his name is already written in the royal clan's genealogy." Xiao Qin interrupted, "Let go of him." Elder Feng felt that the situation was somewhat serious. Just as he was about to say something, Wu Meng, who was at the side, said, "I told you to let go. Did you hear me?" However, Monarch Yu did not seem to notice anything. Rage and the hatred that he suppressed in his heart for 8 years overwhelmed his mind. He shouted, "Elder Feng, don't boost my morale. Let go of me. Today, I want to see what gives him the confidence to dare to come to Yen City and send himself to death after not seeing him for 8 years." Elder Feng ignored Monarch Yu's words. He looked at Xiao Qin and said, "Sorry, this old man cannot let go." Elder Feng felt a trace of killing chi. If he let go, Monarch Yu might die miserably on the spot. This thought was somewhat exaggerated. Would there really be someone in the Misty Rain Pavilion who dared to kill Monarch Yu? Furthermore, the person that Monarch Yu killed was Duke Yun's son. Although his bloodline was thin, it was still a bona fide royal clan bloodline. Monarch Yu was definitely a royal clan member. However, for some reason, Elder Feng felt that if he let go, Monarch Yu would die immediately. This kind of fearful instinct prevented him from letting go. Right now, he was waiting for the Misty Rain Pavilion's experts to show up. Although the Misty Rain Pavilion was large, if something happened, experts would arrive within 10 seconds. However, to Elder Feng, these 10 seconds felt like years. Sweat trickled down his forehead, and he felt incredibly nervous. Xiao Qin looked around and fixed his gaze on Elder Feng. At this moment, their gazes met. Boom! Immediately, the strong soul energy of a 3-vein sovereign emperor and the royal blue dragon bloodline landed on Elder Feng with terrifying pressure. Elder Feng wanted to hold on. However, under this immense pressure, he was like an ant trying to shake a tree, unable to do anything. With just one look, Elder Feng lost. When Monarch Yu felt that Elder Feng could no longer suppress him, he immediately roared and soared into the air, thrusting his sword at Xiao Qin. Whoosh! How terrifying was this sword strike! After 8 years of sharpening a sword, even the dullest blade would become incredibly sharp. For the past 8 years, Monarch Yu could not forget the humiliation he experienced in the Soaring Dragon residence every day and night. That was the greatest humiliation of his life. The immense pressure turned into motivation. He had been cultivating bitterly in the Divine Sword Pavilion for many years, waiting for this day. Monarch Yu felt that this sword strike seemed to have surpassed his expectations. It seemed like he was about to break through the bottleneck of heaven-defying sovereign personage. After this sword strike, he would definitely succeed in condensing a divine seal. Monarch Yu trembled in wild joy, feeling nervous and excited. Indeed, Shao Qin was his demon heart. After killing Shao Qin, breaking through to Sovereign Emperor would be just a matter of time. What a terrifying sword strike! The killing intent and Tao contained in the sword sent a chill down the Misty Rain Pavilion's cultivators, who were far away. Bang! However, Monarch Yu, who had just leaped up and had yet to move, suddenly exploded. That's right, he exploded. Thousands of saber lights burst out of Monarch Yu's body, looking resplendent and dazzling. In the next moment, Monarch Yu's corpse did not remain, leaving only broken limbs and a pool of blood splattering the elegant room. As for that terrifying sword strike, it had not fully bloomed yet. Instead, it fell silent, like a flower wilting. Someone killed someone. Someone killed someone in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Furthermore, it was Monarch Yu. After a while, the entire Misty Rain Pavilion turned chaotic. Everyone startled awake, wondering what exactly happened. The entire Misty Rain Pavilion descended into chaos. Some people were frightened out of their wits. They tried to leave in a fluster, knocking over many tables and chairs. Someone exclaimed in disbelief. The vast Misty Rain Pavilion immediately turned chaotic. There was no longer any of the calm and peaceful atmosphere of the Misty Rain. The imperial capital Yen City had been peaceful for many years. Perhaps there were people dying every day in secret. Perhaps the struggle for benefits had never stopped. However, it had been several hundred years since anyone dared to kill someone in a brothel in broad daylight. This was especially so when the person was someone with the royal bloodline. Was the imperial capital going to change? Chapter 22-23. Misty Rain Pavilion, Yen City. Was there a need for a reason to kill? Of course there was. No matter how lowly an ant was, it was still a life. Even respect was needed, not to mention humans. Although Shao Qin was decisive in killing, he never killed the innocent. Most of the time, Shao Qin could punish people lightly and not kill them. However, there were some people that he absolutely had to kill. Monarch Yu Wangling was such a person. Such a person was like a rabid dog. Although Monarch Yu was trash, he had some authority. He did not fear open attacks or hidden attacks. Monarch Yu feared that Monarch Yu would not deal with Shao Qin but the people around him when he went crazy. One did not fear hypocrites, one feared true vile people. A true vile person would resort to all means, disregarding morality and rules. One could not guess when he would go crazy. Hence, since Shao Qin remembered it, there was no need to leave Monarch Yu alive. If this rabid dog really injured or humiliated the people around him one day, Shao Qin would not be able to bear the price. Shao Qin executed the second move of the fiendish saber inheritance. A drop of rain fell the instant Monarch Yu erupted, ending his life. The manservant, Zhang Ping, was already frightened silly in the private room. He was stunned into silence, unable to say anything. Senior Feng showed a sullen expression as he looked at Shao Qin with some fear. The other party's terrifying strength had already cast a shadow in his heart. Senior Feng wanted to leave but did not dare to, as Shao Qin had not said anything yet. The Divine Sword Gate disciples accompanying Monarch Yu were stunned, unable to react. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the crucial moment, two figures appeared in the private room, radiating the aura of a three-veined sovereign emperor. These were the experts overseeing the Misty Rain Pavilion. Normally, many ignorant people would cause trouble in the Misty Rain Pavilion. No matter how powerful they were, they would suffer when they ran into these two. These two rarely showed themselves. However, in secret, they were known as the Misty Rain Twin Demons. Senior Feng recognized the two and immediately released his bated breath. He said, "Seniors, my clan's young master died a miserable death in the Misty Rain Pavilion. No matter what, please give us an explanation." As Senior Feng spoke, his gaze fell on Shao Qin. Clearly, he wanted the Misty Rain twin demons to take down Xiao Qin. However, the Misty Rain twin fiends ignored Elder Feng. They looked at Xiao Qin and said something. Monarch Yu Wangling caused trouble in the Misty Rain Pavilion, wanting to kill the Misty Rain Pavilion's honored guests. In the end, he overestimated himself and died a miserable death at the hands of a sovereign emperor. Duke Yun failed to teach his son properly, causing our Misty Rain Pavilion to suffer heavy losses. The Misty Rain Pavilion will definitely pursue this matter to the end and report it to the royal family's sect elders. His voice was not loud, but it resounded throughout the Misty Rain Pavilion. Everyone heard him clearly, not missing a single word. Old Feng was dumbfounded at that moment. He had not expected such an ending at all. This person had killed a member of the royal family. Shouldn't the Misty Rain Pavilion capture him and then apologize to Prince Cloud? Why was the situation reversed? Do you still have the law? The one he killed is Monarch Yu, a true inheritor of our Divine Sword Pavilion. He does not even care about our Divine Sword Pavilion. Misty Rain Pavilion, I think you don't want to continue operating in the imperial capital. The disciples of the Divine Sword Pavilion woke up from their stupor. They were all indignant. Bang! The Misty Rain Fiend duo did not make a move, but these Divine Sword Pavilion disciples who shouted were all knocked into the air. Then, the Misty Rain Pavilion's guards each carried one of them out. The Misty Rain Fiend duo looked around, and their gazes landed on Old Feng. Old Feng trembled slightly as he said, "I understand. I'll take some of young master's belongings and leave." However, when Old Feng looked around the private room, he saw that Monarch Yu's corpse had already disappeared. There was nothing left to take. Old Feng took a jade pendant and quickly left without even turning his head back. Honored guests, there is no need to panic. Today, a small situation occurred in my Misty Rain Pavilion, startling everyone. The matter has already been resolved, and I have apologized to everyone. Today, the Misty Rain Pavilion will not be accepting alcohol. Please, drink to your heart's content. For the next 3 days, there will be no charge. The Misty Rain Pavilion will entertain everyone for free. At that time, the 12th headliner will appear as well. Just at this moment, someone spoke softly as she leaned against the railing at the highest point of the Misty Rain Pavilion. Her melodious voice sounded like the chirping of birds in the forest, very pleasing to the ears. What was even more pleasing to the ears was the sincerity of her apology. No alcohol, no charge for 3 days, and the 12th headliner performing at the same time. The moment this person said that, cheers rang out. Then, the sounds of stringed instruments, pipa, and harp rang out at the same time. The 12 headliners appeared on the stage one after another. The atmosphere in the Misty Rain Pavilion suddenly changed, reaching a climax in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the guests were attracted by the headliners who appeared one after another. Once again, they became immersed in the wondrous music. The earlier interlude ended up bringing out this performance, making the guests even more excited. Furthermore, there was free alcohol. With everyone drinking to their heart's content, the Misty Rain Pavilion was destined to be a carnival. Only a few people knew that the pleasure quarters in the imperial capital had not seen blood for hundreds of years already. There had to be something fishy about the Misty Rain Pavilion protecting this person in secret. However, no matter what, Monarch Yu was a royal clan disciple. If he died in the Misty Rain Pavilion for no reason, the Misty Rain Pavilion would not be able to hide it even if they wanted to. In less than a day, this news would spread throughout the entire imperial capital. At that time, it would be another good show. The guests all left in secret, quickly reporting this news to the factions behind them. Inside the private room, Zhang Ping wiped the floor in fear. When he saw the bloodstains, he trembled in fear. A heaven-defying sovereign personage died for no reason. How horrifying was that white-clad person? Fortunately, that white-clad person did not seem to mind Zhang Ping's earlier underestimation. "This young master, please come in. Our pavilion master wishes to meet you." The Misty Rain Pavilion's twin demons, 2 aloof 3 vain sovereign emperors, respectfully greeted Xiao Qin. Such an attitude shocked the manservant, Zhang Ping. My goodness! To think that these two rarely seen major characters of the Misty Rain Pavilion are so respectful to this white-clad person. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Let her come and meet me. Right here." What kind of joke was this? Zhang Ping was a rank 6 envoy inspector. In some sense, he was the pavilion master's direct superior. Even if Xiao Chen did not like to use his status to suppress others, there were some rules that could not be broken. Since when could subordinates summon their superiors? The Misty Rain Pavilion's two old men immediately exchanged glances, anger flashing on their faces. We need to ask for instructions. The two old men spoke softly after exchanging glances. There's no need to ask for instructions. How can this little girl not come when the envoy inspector summons me? Bell-like laughter rang out from outside the door. Then a girl wearing a red qipao walked in, revealing her long, slender legs. Her exquisite facial features looked like the most perfect carving, without any flaws. The instant she entered, ancient paintings fell around the private room, forming an independent world, isolating it from the outside world. The manservant, Zhang Ping, also fell into a deep slumber without a sound. The Misty Rain Pavilion's twin demons paled in shock. They performed cupped fist salutes and bowed. This subordinate greets the envoy inspector. We offended you earlier. Please forgive us. It's fine, Xiao Chen said indifferently. Then he took out the appointment certificate that Yi Zifeng had given him and gently sent it to the girl in the qipao. The girl in the qipao had only guessed it. When she saw the appointment certificate, she confirmed Xiao Chen's identity. This little girl is Su Yi. I welcome the envoy inspector to the Misty Rain Pavilion. I did not know the envoy inspector's identity earlier and offended you. Sorry for the poor reception. The girl in the qipao returned the appointment certificate to Xiao Chen. Then she smiled faintly and said, "Before you came, I was the acting envoy inspector. It looks like I will be idle for a while." Xiao Chen said indifferently, "There's no need. Just do what you were doing before. If there are any problems that you cannot resolve, you can tell me. You still have to work hard. This is Emo Chen, Master Ku Yun's disciple. He will help you deal with this." Emo Chen smiled faintly and stood up. "Greetings, elder sister Su Yi. Please take care of me in the future." Master Ku Yun's disciple? A strange look flashed in Su Ye's eyes. Naturally, she knew about Master Ku Yun. He was one of the strongest blacksmiths in the current martial epoch. At the same time, he was the Heavenly Alliance's oldest Cordoyan. What Emo Chen cared more about was Master Ku Yun's identity. Did that mean that this white-clad youth already obtained the support of 2 Cordoyans? Originally, the headquarters had sent a fellow who was not even 100 years old just to go through the motions. Emo Chen thought that the headquarters had already given up on the Yanwu dynasty and only wanted to maintain the status quo. However, it looked like things were different now. These are my companions. They are all outstanding talents. Even before the age of 100, they are already sovereign emperors. If there is any trouble, you can send them out. There's no need to stand on ceremony. After introducing Emo Chen, Xiao Chen pointed to Wu Meng and the others beside him, introducing them one by one. Su Ye's expression did not change. Her smile did not diminish, but her heart turned increasingly grave. Is the headquarters really determined to stand guard in the Yanwu dynasty? Lord Xiao, how do you intend to deal with today's matter? Duke Yun will definitely pursue this matter. At that time, the Misty Rain Pavilion will inevitably face some pressure. Su Yi spoke for a while, giving instructions on the Misty Rain Pavilion's matters. Then, she suddenly changed the topic, trying to probe Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen looked at Su Yi and smiled faintly. I am a sovereign emperor. First, he humiliated me. Then he tried to kill me. He died a worthy death. If you cannot even deal with such a small matter, you can't be the Misty Rain Pavilion's pavilion master, right? Su Yi wanted to use today's matter to pressure Xiao Chen, to see how he would deal with this when he just arrived in the imperial capital. Who knew, Xiao Chen was even more direct. He told her not to make irresponsible remarks about such a small matter, lest she tarnished her status. Xiao Chen's meaning was that if she could not deal with such a small matter, There was no need for her to be the pavilion master. While Xiao Chen's words looked simple, they actually contained hidden meaning. If she did not deal with it properly, others would look down on her and even use her as a scapegoat. Su Yi replied softly, "Naturally. Although this matter is somewhat difficult to deal with, this subordinate will definitely handle it properly." Naturally, the royal clan disciples were incredibly noble. However, it was not to the point where they could kill anyone they wanted. Furthermore, Xiao Chen was just a king of a branch family. However, Xiao Chen's attitude and the hidden meaning in his words made Su Yi somewhat wary. This white-clad youth was probably not as simple as she imagined. "If there is nothing else, this subordinate will take my leave first," Su Yi said softly. "Wait." Su Yi looked up at Xiao Chen and asked in confusion. Xiao Chen fell into deep thought. "Your name is Su Yi, right? I recall that there is a noble clan of swordsmen in the Yanwu dynasty. The current clan head, Su Hanshan, is known as the strongest expert of the sword Dao, known as Sword God." When Su Yi heard this, he raised his eyebrows and asked sullenly, "What's wrong? Envoy Inspector, are you trying to investigate me? Didn't Lord Yi Zifeng tell you that some things cannot be investigated?" It was just that he sensed a powerful sword intent hidden within this lady's body, so he casually asked her a question. Who would have thought that he would touch the other party's bottom line? Xiao Chen was unperturbed and said coolly, "It's fine, you can withdraw. Remember to have the people in charge of the top 10 chambers of commerce come and see me tomorrow. If anyone doesn't come, I'll see him alone." I feel that it's not necessarily a good thing to be too hasty. The inspector has just arrived at the imperial capital, so there are many sights to see. For example, the flaming river outside the city. It's magnificent and magnificent. You can take a good look at it. Su Ye's tone was calm as she spoke unhurriedly. This woman wanted Xiao Chen to see the flaming river to warn him to see how deep the waters of the imperial capital were and not to get involved. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "When I have time, I will go and take a look. If I accidentally fall into the river, I hope Pavilion Master Su will pull me up." When Su Yi heard that, her expression warmed up somewhat. She smiled and said, "Milord, you jest. Goodbye." Chapter 22-24. After watching Su Yi leave, Emochen smiled gently and asked, "Big brother Xiao, are you tired of talking in riddles?" Xiao Chen said softly, "I'm not used to speaking like this, but sometimes, I don't have a choice." It was just a casual sentence, but there was a hidden meaning in it. It was a little stupid. Not only would they misunderstand the other party's intentions, they might even fall into the other party's trap and become the scapegoat. Xiao Chen was naturally not used to it, but as he said, it was unavoidable. It was the first time they had met, and they did not trust each other. Even if you told the truth, the other person might not believe you. You might even send the wrong message. Perhaps a casual remark would attract the hostility of the other party. For example, Xiao Chen had unintentionally sensed the horrifying sword intent contained in the other party's body. Thus, he had casually asked about the swordsman clan. Although Su Ye's expression did not change, her tone clearly became much harsher. She even secretly warned Xiao Chen. Fortunately, Xiao Chen made up for it in the end. When he asked her to pull him up after he fell into the water, it meant that he had no enmity towards Su Yi. Only then did Su Ye's expression soften slightly. Speaking of which, if Xiao Chen recalled correctly, fiendish saber Shi Mu came from the divine sword Su clan. The godly swordsman clans had deep foundations and were overseen by the god of swords. The Su clan was like the sun in the sky in the Yanwu dynasty. The establishment of the dynasty included a portion of the Su clan's strength. As long as the dynasty did not fall, the Su clan would never weaken. Such a noble clan might not be a match for the Heavenly Alliance in the Great Thousand Realms. However, all the super factions in the Yanwu dynasty had to fear them. Now, Xiao Chen somewhat understood why this pleasure quarter was the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters in the Yanwu dynasty. It was because its pavilion master was Su Yi. Nangong Feng, go check out the 10 great merchant associations first. I want to know the true strength of these 10 great merchant associations. Getting a sovereign emperor to do this was making a big fuss over a minor issue. However, it could also ensure that nothing would go wrong and that the information was authentic. All right. Since Nangong Feng and the others were already here, they would definitely listen to Xiao Chen's instructions, so they had long since prepared themselves. Wu Meng, stay behind. Is there anything else you want me to do? Xiao Chen nodded and said, if you follow Su Yi, how confident are you of not being discovered? Wu Meng pondered before replying, Xiao Chen's words. The sword intent in her body is very sensitive. I estimate that she will be able to sense the slightest movement within 1,000 meters of her. I am not confident of hiding my saber intent when I'm within 1 kilometer. Here, I'll lend this to you for a night. Xiao Chen took out the death god mask and handed it to Wu Meng. After Wu Chen said, Chen. If Xiao Chen had not seen the other party with his own eyes, he would not have sensed the other party's existence. The death god mask's secret technique, which isolated all auras, was also effective against sovereign emperors. All right, I'll have to trouble you then. The person she's meeting tonight, what she's going to say, is very important to me. You. You. Not far away, there was a detached courtyard behind the Misty Rain Pavilion. The imperial capital, Yen City, was destined to not be peaceful tonight. Someone killed Duke Yun's son in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Furthermore, it was a false accusation. News of this spread throughout the imperial capital in half a day. All the high-ranking factions received the news. Then, they quickly learned that the youth was the Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chen. Everyone dug out everything about Xiao Chen in the faux god world. Even his past in the Divine Dragon Empire was sorted out. However, few factions knew that Xiao Chen was the Heavenly Alliance's rank 6 envoy inspector in the Yenwu dynasty. Only some factions with extremely vast accumulations could obtain this crucial information. This was the Heavenly Alliance's secret. Even within the Heavenly Alliance, only a few members of the upper echelon knew. It would be extremely difficult to find out in a short time. Of Yen Province's 100 counties, one was called Flaming Cloud County, Duke Yun's conferred land. By the time Senior Feng arrived at Duke Yun's residence, the sky had already turned dark. Dark clouds covered the sky, appearing as heavy as his heart. What? Linger died? When Duke Yun heard the news, he was greatly shocked, finding it hard to believe. Everyone in the Yenwu dynasty would give the royal clan disciples some face, even Wang Ling, who was blind and offended someone he could not afford to offend. The other party shouldn't have killed him. Young Master? Young Master really died. He died in the Misty Rain Tower. Elder Feng could imagine Duke Yun's rage. However, he still recounted the Misty Rain Pavilion's matter in detail. Bang! The Cloud Prince was enraged. Killing intent surged from his body as he slammed his palm down, shattering the thick wooden table. Everyone in the huge Duke's residence could feel Duke Yun's rage and murderous intent, trembling in fear. Pass down my order. Gather the God's Will army. I'm going to wash the Misty Rain Pavilion with blood. Duke Yun's eyes were about to spit fire. Until now, he still could not believe that Wang Ling was dead. The son that Monarch Yu favored the most had long since become Monarch Yu, preparing to inherit the position of a duke. His son had also worked hard for him. In the Divine Sword Pavilion, he had become the leader of the 7 true inheritors. He had even become the disciple of Imperial Emperor Dao Yan. Wang Ling had become a heaven-defying sovereign personage before the age of 50. He would definitely become a sovereign emperor within 100 years. However, such a son, the son that Monarch Yu looked forward to and doted on the most, actually got killed in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Furthermore, the Misty Rain Pavilion even wanted him to apologize. This was unbearable. Duke, you can't do that. We cannot touch the Misty Rain Pavilion. Startled, Elder Feng quickly tried to dissuade Duke Yun. His complexion even paled somewhat. Why are father and son the same? When they get angry, they go crazy. If that Monarch Yu had listened to me earlier, he would have left. If Xiao Chun could not remember him, how could he have died a miserable death? Your Highness, we cannot do that. We cannot touch the Misty Rain Pavilion. The two deputies at the side tried to dissuade Duke Yun at the same time. Duke Yun showed a sullen expression, remaining silent for a long time. After a while, he said, "Activate the emergency transportation formation. I want to meet the 8th prince." Elder Feng heaved a sigh of relief. As long as he did not go to the Misty Rain Pavilion, everything else was fine. Originally, the emergency transportation formation could only be activated when the 8th prince's life was in danger. However, Duke Yun could not care so much today. A light flashed in the transportation formation. Duke Yun's group appeared majestically in the imperial residence of the 8th prince in Yen City, radiating killing chi. Duke Yun, the 8th prince has been waiting for a long time already. I'll bring you to meet him. Someone had been waiting outside the transportation formation of the imperial residence. When they saw Duke Yun's somewhat strange expression, they were not surprised. 8th prince, about today's matter. When Duke Yun saw the 8th prince, he immediately spoke up, wanting the 8th prince to seek justice for him. The 8th prince Wang Feng had dashing eyebrows and starry eyes, giving off a heroic air. However, he was young and mature. His eyes were like deep pools, unfathomable. Royal uncle, there's no need to say anything. I already know about this matter. Before you came, the Imperial Ancestral Temple's sect elders already punished me. Monarch, you spoke rudely in the Misty Rain Pavilion, challenging the sovereign emperor, even killing someone. He died a worthy death. His actions humiliated the royal court. Because of you, I was implicated as well and was grounded for 7 days. As for your punishment, I already asked the sect elders to be merciful and exempt you from it. What? When Duke Yun heard what the 8th prince said after interrupting him, he was stunned. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. This was not the result he wanted. Even if he could not touch the Misty Rain Pavilion, he would kill that Xiao Qin. The 8th prince said calmly, "The elders' punishments have always been fair. Your son spoke arrogantly in front of thousands of people and even dared to try to kill a sovereign emperor. This was irrefutable evidence. I couldn't overturn it even if I wanted to. The disciples of the imperial family could not be arrogant, or kill at will. These were the teachings of the Imperial Ancestral Temple's patriarchs. Your son committed all of them. I can't do anything about it." The Yenwu dynasty had always prospered, aside from the martial epic's luck. There was also the Imperial Ancestral Temple's patriarch. He abided by the ancestral teachings and was very strict with the imperial family's disciples. No matter what you do in secret, as long as there is no evidence, everything is negotiable. But once you violated the ancestral teachings, no matter what, even if you were a prince, you would still have to be punished. King Yun was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. His face was pale, and his breathing hastened. After a long time, he finally said with red eyes, "All right, I admit to all of this. It is my son's fault for implicating your highness in the punishment. However, I have been at your highness's side for so many years. My most valued son died. He grew up with you, but you did not say anything." King Yun's meaning was clear. The Imperial Ancestral Temple's patriarch did not care. It was fine to apologize openly, but it should be fine to kill someone in secret. Even if that Xiao Chen was a 3-vein sovereign emperor, as long as the 8th prince was willing, there were 10,000 ways to kill him in the imperial capital. As long as Xiao Chen was not discovered, everything was fine. King Yun knelt on the ground and kowtowed heavily, causing blood to leak out. "8th prince, please take revenge for my son." The 8th prince Wang Feng closed his eyes and said, "If it were someone else, even if he were a 4-vein sovereign emperor or a 5-vein sovereign emperor, I would take revenge for you at all costs. This concerns my reputation, so I cannot ignore it. However, imperial uncle, you cannot touch this person." "What?" King Yun, who was kneeling on the ground, looked up at the 8th prince, feeling stupefied. He could not do it openly or secretly. Was he going to keep suppressing his anger? The 8th prince said sullenly, "You cannot touch the Misty Rain Pavilion. You cannot touch Xiao Chen either. Even if you want to, you should consider it at length and wait for me to ascend to the ceremony before doing so. King Yun's face immediately turned ashen. The eighth prince's words meant that he did not care. Not only that, but the eighth prince even told him not to make a move. King Yun held his breath. After a long time, he stood up and said, "This old man understands. This old man has disturbed the eighth prince. I will withdraw now." However, this old man wants to hear the reason. Why? King Yun nearly spat out the word, "Why?" with blood flowing out of his mouth. King Yun could not accept this. His son died, but he could not do anything and had to obediently hold it in. Originally, King Yun wanted to seek justice from the eighth prince. However, he ended up crashing into a wall. Because he has the sky above him. The eighth prince said somewhat tiredly. Then he waved his hand and said, "You may withdraw. This matter ends here. I'll say it again. You cannot touch the Misty Rain Pavilion. All the more you cannot touch Shaoqin." After King Yun withdrew, the old man beside the eighth prince said, "This King Yun will probably not accept this. Something unexpected might happen." The eighth prince retorted coldly, "Let him be. Let's see which prince in the imperial capital dares to offend the heavenly alliance for him. What an undeserved calamity. How did he give birth to such a stupid son?" The eighth prince closed the book in his hand and tossed it to the ground, showing how frustrated he was. The wind blew, and the lamp on the table swayed. Tonight in the imperial capital, Yen City, clearly just like this flickering lamp, it would not easily calm down. Chapter 22-25. When Duke Yun left the prince's residence, his expression turned extremely sullen. The vice-general and senior Feng did not dare to say anything. After a while, the vice-general said softly, "How can it be like this? Logically speaking, the eighth prince should not fear the Misty Rain Pavilion too much." Duke Yun retorted coldly, "Isn't the reason simple? The succession race is about to begin. The various princes are getting restless. Naturally, the eighth prince does not want to cause any trouble at this critical juncture. The succession race. If there were no special circumstances, the emperor had to abdicate for 100 years. Then, the most outstanding prince would be chosen from the princes to inherit the throne. The Yenwu dynasty's emperor could only hold the throne for 100 years. This was to provide fresh blood to the dynasty, maintain its vitality, and prevent it from becoming rigid. No matter how ancient a dynasty was, once it became rigid, its luck would decline, and the nation's luck would fall. Since ancient times, there had never been a lack of such examples. Hence, the rulers of the various dynasties and empires would not remain on the throne for long. No matter how brilliant or valiant one was, the dynasty system would inevitably become rigid after a long time. This was something unavoidable. The dynasty had to change every 100 years, maintaining its vitality at all times. This filled the entire dynasty with competitiveness, not daring to slack off. Now, the Yenwu dynasty's Yen emperor had been on the throne for 80 years. It was time to choose the crown prince. The various princes competed in secret, all for the sake of coming out on top in the succession race and ascending to the throne. This was why the eighth prince Wang Feng felt so frustrated. At this crucial moment, Monarch Yu stirred up trouble for him. How could he not feel frustrated? It would have been fine if it were in the past. Now, how could Wang Feng stand up for him? After Duke Yun came out, he calmly thought about it and guessed the crux of the matter. "Duke, are we just going to let Monarch Yu's grudge go? If the eighth prince does not agree, we can go and seek help from the other princes," the vice-general at the side suggested. Duke Yun had been in the empire for many years. As a chess piece in the fight for the crown prince, he was still very attractive to the other princes. "That's right," Duke Yun said indifferently, "no prince would offend a Heavenly Alliance envoy inspector at this time and place. However, I will definitely take revenge for Ling. Even if I have to use my glory to do so, I will not refuse. Let's go to the Divine Sword Pavilion." The Divine Sword Pavilion was a rank 7 sect of the Yenwu dynasty, possessing deep accumulations. However, although it wasn't called the Godsword Pavilion, it didn't have much to do with the Godsword family. One was an aristocratic family, and the other was a sect. Because of the competition for the way of the sword, there was even some friction between them. As Duke Yun rushed to the Divine Sword Pavilion, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion's pavilion master also received news of the Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chen's appearance. The Smiling Daughter Pavilion was the top pleasure quarter in the imperial capital Yen City. They would know that this Smiling Daughter Pavilion was not as simple as a pleasure quarter. Its accumulations were much deeper than expected. Pavilion Master, we have already confirmed that Xiao Qin is the new envoy inspector of the Heavenly Alliance. In the pavilion, a black-clothed man presented the latest intelligence to a mysterious woman behind a curtain of black hair. Xiao Qin, if I recall correctly, the fairy basket that the astral-plucking bandit Jiang he stole back then is in his hands, right? The mysterious woman sighed. Yes. We have made several deductions. The missing fairy basket is definitely not with Jiang He. There is only one possibility. After he stole the fairy basket, he casually gave it to Xiao Qin. Good. It would be fine if he were somewhere else. However, since he is in the imperial capital Yen City, we have to make him hand over the fairy basket. As the mysterious woman spoke softly, she exuded a tyrannical air that clearly did not belong to a woman in a pleasure quarter. Understood. At the same time, at the summit of Spirit Vulture Mountain, a Buddhist sect holy land outside the imperial capital, the Hidden Spirit Temple, a place invisible to the naked eye, a handsome-looking monk looked at the note in his hand and revealed a smile. Unexpectedly, you came to the Yenwu dynasty. It looks like I have to make some time to go down the mountain. This monk was none other than Yuan Zhen, who had interacted with Xiao Qin a few times in the faux god world. The night had not ended, and dawn approached. In a small courtyard beside the Misty Rain Pavilion, Xiao Qin, Mo Qin, and Bao were still awake. The two were organizing the information that Su Yi sent someone to hand over. Previously, Su Yi had been the acting envoy inspector. Now that Xiao Qin was here, they naturally had to slowly familiarize themselves with the information. However, Bao and Mo Qin were the ones organizing the information. Xiao Qin did not pay much attention to it. After lighting an incense burner and consuming a soul-accumulating pill, Xiao Qin sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes, condensing his soul energy. Everyone had their own specialties. Sorting out the messy information was not Xiao Qin's forte. If Bao and Mo Qin did it, they would get twice the result with half the effort. If Xiao Qin did it, he would end up making things more complicated. The deity image materialized by the soul-accumulating pill in Xiao Chen's soul pool slowly faded away. There were 3 divine vein rings under the blue dragon divine seal. With the soul-accumulating pill's refinement, the first divine vein ring was completely cleansed. Compared to the other 2 divine vein rings, the third divine vein ring was resplendent and filled with a divine nature. Xiao Qin opened his eyes, and a bright light flashed in them. He had already finished refining the first divine vein ring. Only 2 remained. After he finished refining them, the soul energy that he inherited from the divine flame would truly belong to him, becoming his accumulations. Big brother Xiao, Bao, and I discovered something interesting, Mo Qin said softly as she put down the scroll in her hand. Seeing Xiao Qin open his eyes, Mo Qin put down the scroll in her hand and said softly, Big brother Xiao, Bao, and I discovered something interesting. Mo Qin raised his eyebrows and asked out of curiosity, Oh? Let's hear it. We discovered that, aside from the Misty Rain Pavilion, all the other pleasure quarters in Yen City belong to the same organization. The other pleasure quarters are actually all part of the same organization. This organization is even older than the Heavenly Alliance. A thought occurred to Xiao Qin. He asked seriously, What organization is it? The Pleasure Quarter Alliance, Mo Qin said calmly. There are more than 1,000 pleasure quarters in the imperial capital, all belonging to this organization. Only the Misty Rain Pavilion is not. In the Pleasure Quarter Alliance, the one with the best business and the highest status is the Smiling Daughter Pavilion. Compared to the Misty Rain Pavilion, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion not only has deeper accumulations, but its layout is also much better. Smiling Daughter Pavilion. Xiaochen thought to himself, what a familiar name. That's right. I once went to the Smiling Daughter Pavilion in the Soaring Dragon Great Realm. Jiang He had stolen the fairy basket from there. It seemed to be their holy relic. The background of this Pleasure Quarter alliance is extremely mysterious. Even now, no one knows about it. In the Yanwu dynasty, it firmly suppresses the Heavenly Alliance. More importantly, this organization has a wide network. Many of the princes, kings, and noble clans have unclear connections to it, Emochin said in a somewhat reserved manner after a pause. More importantly, this organization has a lot of connections. Many of the princes, kings, and noble clans have unclear connections to it. As for what kind of unclear connections they had, Xiaochen naturally understood. The heads of the pleasure quarters all had their own charms. It was not difficult for them to bewitch others. How many men could resist their charms? If they ran into a threat, they would not waste their efforts. There would be many benefactors coming to their aid. Xiaochen muttered, pleasure quarters and assassins are ancient occupations that naturally existed since the epoch. With the existence of the Pleasure Quarter Alliance, the Misty Rain Pavilion has been able to thrive, prospering and surviving until now. She is not simple. Sui, this woman is somewhat terrifying. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figures tore through the air. It was Nangong Feng and the others who had returned. They had inquired about the strength of the Heavenly Alliance's 10 merchant associations and came to report. Over the course of the night, the group thoroughly investigated how many experts the 10 great merchant associations had and how strong they were. Xiaochen listened carefully. Soon he understood what was going on, gaining a rough understanding of the situation. Xiaochen, these 10 merchant associations have deep connections with the local noble clans. I can even sense the royal bloodline aura of some of the sovereign emperor experts overseeing them. This is extremely strange, Nangong Feng said with a somewhat grave expression. Mou said indifferently, no wonder the Heavenly Alliance has been unable to expand in the Yanwu dynasty. Its profits are strangely low. These people are all traders, colluding with outsiders to split the profits. How can the Heavenly Alliance expand? Xiaochen said calmly, it is more or less as I guessed. The previous 3 envoy inspectors were probably involved. They hindered the interests of some people and died mysteriously. The Heavenly Alliance's headquarters controlled the best alchemists, blacksmiths, and blacksmiths in the world. The quality of the medicinal pills, weapons, and secret treasures they refined went without saying. In terms of doing business, the subordinate merchant associations had the support of the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters. How could the other merchant associations compete with them? The current situation happened because the network of interests was too large and too deep. Even the Heavenly Alliance could not do anything about it. It was not that the Heavenly Alliance's headquarters did not know about such a situation. They had thought of forcefully taking back authority. However, the result was the strange deaths of 3 envoy inspectors, leaving the Heavenly Alliance's faction in the Yanwu dynasty to maintain its current state. Hence, the envoy inspector position remained empty for so many years, with Su Yi managing it. Suddenly, a ray of sunlight shone in from the window. Xiaochen turned his head to look. The sky was already bright. Wu Meng is not back yet? Xiaochen's face sank slightly. Wu Meng, who he sent to follow Su Yi, had not returned even after dawn. Chapter 22-26. Pavilion Master Su, what about you? The might of a 3-veined sovereign emperor erupted from Xiaochen's body, shaking the surroundings. He struck out with his palm, shattering the wall. A figure screamed as he was sent flying backward. Wu Meng vomited a mouthful of blood. As he looked at the sky, his expression changed drastically under his mask. He had a clear understanding of what he could fight for and what he had to be wary of. The middle-aged man was the president of the Golden Essence Chamber of Commerce. His name was Jin Bao, and his expression was cold and indifferent. For some reason, Su Yi did not mention that Xiaochen had Ku Yun's disciple following him. I'm not going either. This yellow-haired brat killed people the moment he arrived. It was obvious that he wanted to give us a show of strength. He wanted to tell us that he had a strong backing and wanted to forcefully take over the power. With just Yi Zifeng protecting him, do you think he can fly to the sky? A total of 11 people sat on the top floor of the main building. Aside from Su Yi, the others were the leaders of the various merchant associations. If he could learn this information in advance and inform it to Xiao Chen, he would undoubtedly be able to take the initiative and advance or retreat with ease. A trace of exhaustion flashed between his brows as he said softly, I have already delivered the message. Whether you want to go or not depends on you. Before sunset, the Misty Rain Pavilion will welcome you. After talking for half the night, they had more or less said everything that needed to be said. Jin Bao sneered and said, Chairman Liu, looks like this courtyard of yours isn't as tight as you said. If it doesn't work, I'll arrange a place next time. Halfway through his words, Jin Bao suddenly struck out with his palm. That's right. Pavilion Master Su, you have always been the acting inspector. Everyone respects you. Now, just a word from you, and we will all listen to you. Their expressions changed greatly. Last night's conversation had been heard by someone? The inescapable net instantly trapped Wu Meng. The Golden Essence Merchant Association was a subordinate merchant association of the Heavenly Alliance's Yen capital, comparable to the Bountiful Treasure Pavilion. The others were just as curious. Jin Bao glanced at the crowd and said with a smile, I want to announce. On the host seat, Su Yi raised her eyebrows slightly. She turned her head and said, the two of you, go and take a look as well. But this time he had gained a lot. An old man in the room coughed and said, all right, the farce ends here. Pavilion Master Su, what do you want to announce by gathering everyone here today? Outside the building, Wu Meng, who was leaning against the wall, perked up his ears. Just as Xiao Chen expected, Su Yi only stayed in the Misty Rain Pavilion for half an hour before she left. Wu Meng thought to himself, this Su Yi is like a vixen. Based on her methods, she does not seem like a little girl at all. Dawn broke through the clouds and the morning sun shone brightly. Woo! Su Ye's group of 3 entered a heavily guarded courtyard. There were King-grade guards standing guard at the entrance. The moment he landed, he hurriedly stuck to the wall. Flickering spots of light appeared in the black crystal ball. After a while, the old man said, Miss, no one is following us. A skinny old man said sinisterly. He did not seem to care about Xiao Chen's feelings at all. Look again and I'll dig out your dog eyes. Wisps of seemingly weak soul power swept over him. Wu Meng knew that the 3 of them were checking to see if anyone was following him. Wu Meng took note of this person's appearance. This person should be a thorn that would not be easy to deal with. Wu Meng, who was hidden behind the 3, felt his heart tighten. He did not know if the Death God mask would work. Pavilion Master Su, as long as you agree, we will help you get back this face. Even a fly would find it hard to enter, much less a person. Wu Meng frowned heavily outside the courtyard. After putting on the Death God mask, Wu Meng followed Xiao Chen's instructions. After he left, he kept an eye on Su Yi in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Big brother, there is no need, right? There are no fluctuations from the formations and restrictions at all. Furthermore, who is so blind to dare to come here? Since Elder Liu is not going, I will not go either. I have to think of a way to enter. There had to be sovereign emperor experts maintaining the ritual formations and restrictions in the unseen darkness. After the Bountiful Treasure Pavilion's Lu Zhang expressed his stance, a few people immediately followed suit, saying that they would not go. The gray-clad old man guarding the pavilion's roof frowned heavily. He seemed to have sensed some subtle fluctuations earlier. All right, I'll go. All of you, come with me. Be quick and search the entire courtyard again. Wu Meng felt suspicious. At the same time, he felt eager to try. He revealed a faint smile under his mask. The 10 association chiefs gathered at the broken wall, watching Wu Meng's figure. In the next moment, footsteps rang out in the courtyard. A group of guards wearing the Heavenly Alliance's special battle armor rushed over from all directions. Su Yi raised her head and looked out the window. Unknowingly, the sky had already turned bright. I told you to go, so go. Cut the crap. Ha. This is good. Since the new envoy inspector has arrived, I have to meet him. Wu Meng's figure flashed, and his entire body turned pitch black, merging with the night. Wu Meng found a blind spot and leaped up, silently landing in the courtyard. Wei Fatso asked with a heartless smile as he sat up again. He did not feel embarrassed or distressed over what happened earlier. Many people asked as they looked at Su Yi in dissatisfaction. Damn it. I was too careless. That Jin Bao discovered my presence after the sky turned bright. Su Yi raised her eyebrows. This old man was Lu Zhang, the association chiefs of the Bountiful Treasure Pavilion's Merchant Association, the strongest of the 10. This courtyard was also this person's property. The hidden experts and guards were all his people. Jin Bao smiled faintly and ignored them. The remaining people did not say anything. Some looked at Su Yi, and some looked at the silent middle-aged man. The other old man controlling the bronze mirror put away the secret treasure and said, "No one is following us." Wearing the death god mask, Wu Meng moved stealthily in the crowd, looking like he merged with the darkness. Boom! The streets of the imperial capital Yen City were still filled with flowers at night. There were not many women dressed like Su Yi, but they were not special either. They did not stand out in the crowd. Indeed, Su Yi came to meet these people. Vaguely, there seemed to be 2 big sects within the top 10 chambers of commerce. Su Yi glared at them, and a short sword landed between Fatso's legs. The sword pierced through Wu Meng's pants and stabbed into the chair, trembling slightly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Wu Meng thought to himself. Clearly, Su Yi was meeting with an important guest. They might be discussing how to deal with Xiao Qin. Wu Meng sat cross-legged and looked around. He now had a clear understanding of the attitude and bottom line of the 10 Merchant Association's association chiefs. This information would be extremely useful to Xiao Qin. It's nothing. I believe everyone already knows that our new envoy inspector is here. He even killed Duke Yun's son in my Misty Rain Pavilion. Let's not talk about this matter. He told me to pass on a message to everyone. You all have to go to the Misty Rain Pavilion to meet him before sunset. The 2 used the secret treasures in their hands to check again. Just as everyone said their goodbyes and prepared to leave, a brilliant light flashed in Jin Bao's eyes. Then he suddenly said, "Wait." As Jin Bao breathed, he felt strands of soul energy sweep through his body. Fortunately, the death god mask worked again. The sovereign emperors in the courtyard did not discover him. Such a reply was equivalent to spouting nonsense. The imperial capital Yen City, however, the Misty Rain twin demons still did not feel assured. They each took out a secret treasure, a bronze mirror and a black crystal ball. This person was the 9 Cauldron Merchant Association's association leader, Wei Dexin, a famous pervert. Every time Su Yi saw him, he would teach Wei Dexin a lesson. Pavilion Master Su, aren't you being too careful? Fatso fell to the ground in fright, eliciting loud laughter. The others were already used to this and were not surprised. Su Yi nodded slightly and left. He really doesn't know his limits. I think he has forgotten how the previous 3 envoy inspectors died. Jin Bao said in a deep voice, "I have something very important to tell everyone." The sky was already bright, but Xiao Qin still had not left. The death god mask had a very different effect during the day and night. Why is he so cautious? Where is he going? Pu Si. The Misty Rain twin demons returned to Su Ye's side and said softly, "It's fine." What happened? Su Yi did not move even after a long time. As she observed, black carriages occasionally stopped, and people entered them. A cold look flashed on Su Ye's face as she entered deep thought. "I'll go all out." Only that Fatso could not understand. He smiled happily, not knowing what Jin Bao was up to. Su Yi found this strange, not knowing what Jin Bao wanted to say. The one who spoke was a plump, well-endowed Fatso with a wide smile on his face. His expression did not show any emotional fluctuations, appearing calm and gloomy. He gave the impression of an unfathomable martial Dao expert rather than the association president of a merchant association. The Misty Rain twin demons immediately left to carry out the order. "What's the matter?" Fatso asked with a smile. His beady eyes brazenly sized up Su Ye's voluptuous figure. Hundreds of sovereign personages patrolled the courtyard. There were even 3 vain sovereign emperors guarding the roof. Wu Meng wore a veil and a thick white fur coat. She hid her cultivation, appearing very cautious. The Misty Rain twin demons and 2-3 vain sovereign emperor old men followed closely behind, protecting her in secret. The sovereign emperor experts in the courtyard opened their eyes at the same time, locking their gazes on Wu Meng. When Jin Bao saw Su Yi looking at him, he said indifferently, "Whether I meet or not is a completely different matter. I need to go back and discuss this with the others before making a decision. If we go and the inspector asks us to hand over the debt, it won't be easy to deal with him. If we don't go, we'll offend the inspector. At that time, it's hard to say if we'll have our resources cut." What? He secretly transmitted his voice. "Third brother, bring some people to patrol the courtyard. Don't let anything happen tonight. If you want to see him, you can go. I won't go unless he comes to pick me up personally. I heard that this inspector isn't even 100 years old. He's just a yellow-haired kid. If he wants me to give him face, he'll have to see his sincerity first." Dong 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 dong. In the main building of the courtyard, someone pushed open the window and looked outside. In the end, he purposely lured him into a trap, and due to his carelessness, he was severely injured by the other party. However, the formations and restrictions were all activated. The bountiful treasure pavilion's Lu Zhang's expression immediately turned unsightly. He said seriously, "Capture him. I want him alive. I want to see who is so bold as to behave atrociously in this old man's territory." Perhaps Su Yi was taking a detour on purpose, or Yen City was truly very large, but they walked for 4 hours. They might gain a great harvest on this trip. This disappointed several people. The Bountiful Treasure Pavilions Association leader, Lu Zhang, snorted coldly in disdain. Naturally, Lu Zhang would not personally check. No one knew if this was a ploy to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Wu Meng, who was already hiding outside, felt his heart tighten. It was more or less what he guessed. Su Yi honestly told him what Xiao Chen wanted to say. "It's fine. It's probably just a routine check by the guards. The association leaders of our 10 merchant associations are gathered here. We have to be more cautious. Otherwise, we will become a laughingstock if we get wiped out." Wu Meng's opinion could influence the opinions of a group of people. Several people were waiting for him to speak. The sky and the earth were impenetrable. Su Yi laughed softly, her laughter as pleasant as a wind chime. The Heavenly Alliance's headquarters appointed the envoy inspector. This little girl has always been barely able to hold the position. Now that a new envoy inspector is here, I will definitely have to hand over my position. Everyone, you have overestimated this little girl. Su Yi had many connections in the imperial capital Yen City. She had the backing of a noble clan and deep accumulations. Everyone had tested each other for a long time. Whether to go or not, most of them had already made up their minds. He killed people in the Misty Rain Pavilion. Clearly, he does not care about Pavilion Master Su. Chapter 22-27. The formation was activated, and the restriction was agitated. Logically speaking, an injured one vain sovereign emperor should have no chance of escaping. In fact, Xiao Chen did not even need a sovereign emperor to make a move. Given his current state, it would be difficult for him to charge out. On the roof, the 3 vain sovereign emperor gray-clad old man watched coldly as Wu Meng broke through the formation. There were 2 other vain sovereign emperors at Xiao Chen's side, ready to attack at any moment. Under the suppression of the formation, I can only bring out 50% of my saber skills. Under the mask, Wu Meng paled as he felt the invisible pressure of the world. Xiao Chen could not bring out the full might of his divine seal and Dao domain. They were firmly suppressed around him, preventing him from moving. If he could activate the alloy battle armor, he would feel much better. However, that would expose his identity. which was not what he wanted. So. More than 100 elite guards soared into the sky. They relied on the array formation and restrictions to entangle Wu Meng, intending to capture him. Courting death. Wu Meng snorted coldly. Although he was injured, his dignity prevented him from accepting defeat at the hands of these small fries. Killing turned into a demon, madness enraged. Bang! Wu Meng raged in his heart. Without any fear, he unleashed his massacre Dao domain. A saber light flashed, and the bright sky darkened. When the saber light disappeared, the sky turned bright. 10 cries of agony were heard at the same time. 10 figures died at the same time. Their bodies were split in half and their souls were destroyed. Wu Meng seemed to have gone mad. He raised his saber and swung it down. As the sky darkened, he killed these elite guards, scattering them. Not only did he take a life with each slash, he killed 10 people in a fit of rage. So powerful! The various Chamber of Commerce's association chiefs watching from the main building sucked in a breath of cold air. This was even after Jin Bao had severely injured him. Jin Bao was a 3-vein sovereign emperor, someone who had been famous for a long time. Furthermore, he was still able to display such strength. If he wasn't heavily injured, how terrifying would his strength be? The bountiful treasure pavilion's Lu Zhang showed a grave and stern expression as he cursed, "Bunch of good-for-nothings. Dead or alive, we must take him down today." Seeing Wu Meng make a move, Lu Zhang immediately felt humiliated. His plan to capture Wu Meng alive might fail. "Second bro, third bro, you two go. Make it quick and don't let Mr. Lu lose face again." The gray-robed old man said lightly. The 2 people beside him laughed sinisterly. "All right, my hands have been itching for a long time." Boom! The 2 of them leaped into the air. Immediately, wind and clouds gathered. He felt as if the sky was about to fall on his back. Cracks appeared in Xiao Chen's Dao domain. In a rush, he turned around and chopped. Ding! When the 2 sabers clashed with Wu Meng's sabers, he vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. "Hee, you also play with sabers? Then we brothers will play with you. We'll show you what real saber skills are." The 2 brothers attacked at the same time. Saber lights flashed, and their figures changed. The sound of sabers clashing rang out endlessly. A vast saber intent soared into the clouds and spread out in the sky above the courtyard. Clang, clang, clang. Clanging sounds rang out continuously. Wu Meng gritted his teeth as he fought 1 against 2. In just a moment, there were hundreds of saber scars on his body, and blood dyed his robes red. However, the 2 brothers did not have it easy either, and there were also many saber scars on their bodies. Wu Meng was one example. "If you hack at me, I will hack at you." Even if Wu Meng had to suffer another saber strike because of this, he did not fear it. This was where Wu Meng's nickname of Saber Demon came from. However, the cultivation technique that he cultivated matched his nature. As Wu Meng's injuries worsened, he became even crazier, attacking even more ruthlessly. To think that the bountiful treasure pavilion's Thunderbolt twin sabers can't suppress this person. After knocking Wu Meng away, the Thunderbolt twin sabers firmly suppressed him. This forced Wu Meng back to the ground, trapping him in the middle, unable to advance. However, after a while, when Wu Meng was bathed in blood, his aura of massacre multiplied. The howling saber hum was like a powerful killing god laughing maniacally. The berserk aura counterattacked. Bush, bush. Saber winds laughed maniacally like ghosts in the courtyard. A strong wind blew, and laughter rang out endlessly. It was unknown whether it was the saber laughing or Wu Meng laughing. However, that laughter made one's scalp go numb. To think that Wu Meng alone suppressed the Thunderbolt twin sabers with his aura alone. Playing with sabers with me? In that case, let's see whose saber is more ruthless. Wu Meng laughed maniacally under the mask. He did not care how severe his injuries were. His grave eyes only focused on the Thunderbolt twin sabers. With the demonic saber in hand, I sing to my heart's content, only killing. The expressions of the association chiefs in the main pavilion slowly changed. The sovereign emperor experts behind them had already moved to stand in front of the association chiefs without them realizing it. The association chiefs already placed their hands on their weapons, fearing that Wu Meng would erupt and take them down with him. He really is a madman. Could this fellow be someone of the demonic Tao? The association chiefs said in a trembling voice when they saw Wu Meng's crazed saber aura. No matter who he is, he will die today. The bountiful treasure pavilion's Lu Zhang said through clenched teeth, showing an extremely cold expression. A brilliant light flashed in the eyes of the peak three-veined sovereign emperor gray-clad old man on the roof. Suddenly, a loud shout rang out, and everyone's ears buzzed. They felt dizzy, and their souls trembled. When looking around, afterimages layered over each other. The world shook, and their bodies trembled, unable to stand stably. Pusia. Wu Meng's surging aura paused, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the Thunderbolt twin saber's eyes flashed with a cold and merciless light. The two sabers stabbed into Wu Meng's chest at the same time. The instant the sabers pierced Wu Meng's chest, the two reacted as if they had a telepathic connection, retreating frantically. However, it was too late. Wu Meng roared, sounding like the roar of an ancient hero from the depths of the 18 layers of hell. That roar pierced through the layered layers of hell, erupting with an unprecedented aura and scattering the gray-clad old man's soul energy attack. Wu Meng used the last of his remaining strength to roar and chop. The two afterimages shattered, and a horrifying wound appeared on the chests of the Thunderbolt twin sabers, who were retreating. If not for the armor protecting their chests, this saber strike would have chopped the two in half. Even so, the Thunderbolt twin sabers still felt frightened, trembling in fear. Their hands, which held their sabers, continued to tremble. It's over. Everyone could tell that Wu Meng had done his best after that final saber strike. While Wu Meng was not at the end of his rope, he was not far from it. Initially, he had been fighting with his life on the line. That final saber strike, which was unprecedented since ancient times, drained all his divine energy and soul energy. The gray-clad old man, who had been standing on the roof and watching coldly, roared only at the crucial moment, soared into the air. He soared into the sky and arrived before Wu Meng in a flash. Despair flashed in Wu Meng's heart. However, that face under the mask smiled. Wu Meng had used his full power in this final battle, feeling carefree. He had not lived in vain. As an outstanding talent challenging the martial Tao, if he did not have the resolve to die, the Saber Demon and Wind Demon would not have reached their current heights. However, just as the gray-clad old man was about to attack, he suddenly felt like he had fallen into an ice cave. The gray-clad old man placed his hand on Wu Meng's head, not daring to strike and shatter Wu Meng's skull. Time seemed to have stopped. Everyone was shocked. The gray-robed old man had charged over at lightning speed. Why did the gray-clad old man suddenly stop? The gray-clad old man charged over at lightning speed and saw a white-clad person with a cold expression on the wall. At some point, this person had appeared and coldly eyed the gray-clad old man. With just one glance, the gray-clad old man felt unbearable pain as if thousands of sabers were stabbing him. The gray-clad old man's finger twitched, wanting to kill Wu Meng in one go. Do you believe that you will die if you move again? However, just as the gray-clad old man revealed some clues, an icy voice rang out in his ears. The gray-clad old man looked in the direction of the voice. The instant their eyes met, the pressure from Xiao Chen's King True Dragon bloodline surged over, carrying the soul energy of the Blue Dragon Divine Seal. Bang! 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 An invisible aura shattered layer by layer. The gray-clad old man felt a pressure from the depths of his soul, so heavy that he could not breathe. Thud! 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 The gray-clad old man had no choice but to take 3 steps back. Whoosh! However, before the gray-clad old man could take his 3rd step, a purple light flashed, and that white figure landed before him. Even though the gray-clad old man had been prepared, he had not expected this person to throw a palm strike after landing. Reckless fool! The gray-clad old man raged. Just a mere one-vein sovereign emperor. There was no end to this. The aura of a three-veined sovereign emperor erupted as the gray-clad old man threw a palm strike. Bang! When the two palms clashed, the gray-clad old man first used his soul energy, wanting to intimidate Xiao Chen. However, the gray-clad old man suddenly discovered that Xiao Chen's soul energy was no weaker than his. In fact, it was even stronger. The gray-clad old man immediately panicked and quickly brought out his three-veined sovereign emperor divine energy. One divine vein equaled one heaven for a sovereign emperor. The gray-clad old man did not believe that his divine energy could not knock back the other party. Suddenly, a blue dragon image appeared behind Xiao Chen. Closely following that, many dragon images circled around him. When the 10,000 dragons picture formed, blood leaked out of the gray-clad old man's mouth as he got knocked back by Xiao Chen's palm strike. 10,000 dragons art. It's the 10,000 dragons art. The gray-clad old man was very knowledgeable. This was a sovereign emperor cultivation technique that had been lost to the dragon race for countless epochs. This cultivation technique was many levels higher than the one he cultivated. Don't you dare touch my big brother. When the Thunderbolt twin sabers saw that their big brother was injured, they ignored the saber wounds on their chests and charged at Xiao Chen at the same time, wanting to help the gray-clad old man. No! Panic flashed in the gray-clad old man's eyes as he shouted, wanting to stop all this. 3 life flower. Xiao Chen placed one hand on his chest and formed a hand seal. In the next moment, saber lights spread out from his body, looking like petals blooming. It was hard to tell whether it was the beauty of the flower or the resplendent saber light. The instant the flower bloomed, it illuminated 3 worlds. The Thunderbolt dual sabers were like moths darting into a flame, right in front of the 3 life flower. Thousands of saber lights pierced through them, killing them miserably on the spot, not even leaving a corpse behind. No, before the gray-robed old man's voice faded away, his 2 brothers, who had been through life and death with him, had already died. All this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The 10 association chiefs in the main pavilion were all stunned. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.